streaming. Jose, can you check to see if we're go live? And then what we'll do is introduce you. We'll talk a little bit about our experience with your product at SEMA. After the show, we talked about how that was the coolest product we saw at SEMA. It was the one thing we liked the most.
Yeah, we're on.
Okay, thank you. And then we'll go into a little bit of running into you this weekend, and then give you ask some questions about Rugged Bound and then TourTop and all the other stuff. You good with all that?
Yeah, that's cool.
And then let me make sure.
And guys, I have a bad habit. I run long on my answers. I've got like
that much less we have to say.
I got a mental timer here. I'm going to try and keep my answers I'm going to try and keep it to 45 seconds.
Oh, you're good. You're good. What's the proper way to pronounce your last name?
Ferreira.
Okay, Ferreira.
Like Herrera with an F. Ferreira.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Should I log out and log back in with my full name so it says Theo Ferreira as opposed to just Theo?
Nope. I just wanted to make sure when I said it, I didn't butcher it.
You wouldn't be the first. I'm sure. It means blacksmith in Portuguese. So it's like Theo Smith. Yeah.
So you're of Portuguese descent from South Africa?
So it's Portuguese, Dutch, German, French.
So everybody came down to South Africa, had a party, and then that's like there you are.
Yeah. Everybody with male pattern baldness came to South Africa to have a party, and then I'm also the shortest African you'll ever meet. I'm like 5'9", and like I'm the shortest in my class. I'm the shortest in university. Oh, wow. I'm the shortest. Yeah. I'm short for South Africa.
Do you speak Afrikaans?
Yeah, because Afrikaans. So I am South African. I am Afrikaans. English is my second language.
Who asked that? Elam, I can say Herrera. I know how to say. I know how to speak Espanol.
English is our first language. We still fuck it up.
Yeah, we're barely.
You probably speak it better than us, and it's our first language.
Well, actually, English is my second language, and American is my third language.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, very true statement.
Yeah, that's.
I had to learn how to write color and neighbor and labor and.
Oh, you used to add the
surprise.
Oh, you are. Yeah.
Yeah, I got the extra U's.
Oh, you are.
It's like go back to Canada with that, dude.
Do they spell like that in Canada?
Yes.
Weird.
Casey, what are you doing?
I didn't know that.
Trying to make my son some dinner.
Are you still making dinner? Are you ready to go? You ready to do this?
No, I have my wireless headphones on. I can hear everything. I'm playing fucking Double Agent this weekend.
Yeah.
The wife's out of town.
Oh, you can turn your camera off at least.
Cook and clean and.
All right. Well, yeah. Go on mute or something.
Turn your camera off.
Yeah,
just turn your camera.
I'm on mute.
We're just staring at your kitchen cabinets.
Yeah, just turn your camera off.
No, I can see your microwave. God, we are so horrible at this.
Just turn your camera off.
We are so not good at this.
There you go.
There you go. All right, Theo, we're gonna kick it off here. We're a couple minutes in, so I will count down 3, 2, 1. We'll go silent for about 10 seconds. That's just where I'm gonna tag the beginning of the recording, and at the end of the conversation, we'll say thank you so much, have a good night, but don't hang up. We'll talk to you a little bit more after that. You good?
Cool.
Are you ready, Jose?
Just do it. I gotta put my phone down.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it is 6:30 on Tuesday night. We are live on YouTube as we usually are on Tuesday nights. Jose has just finished swiping right multiple times, trying to hedge his bets to see
it's on auto,
if he can make anything work. And we are joined by Theo Ferreira from Rugged Bound and TourTop. How you doing tonight, man?
Hey, Cody. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
So flashback to November of last year. Those of you that heard the episode after SEMA when we came back, we raved about what was then called the Smart Topper for the truck beds, and we said clearly it was our favorite product at SEMA. And everybody wanted one. And then going into Overland Expo, we connected with Theo and booked this opportunity for them to come on the show. We happened to randomly run into you walking through the show this weekend. Let's start with the show, and then we'll work our way backwards a little bit. How was the event for you this weekend?
It was great, actually. It was nice to be there this time, not actually running a booth and exhibiting. So I was attending Expo West as an attendee this time. We sponsored a very nice marketing campaign called For This Land, which is run out of Phoenix. So Rome and Lauren, they have a Tacoma and a trailer that's been all fully kitted out by a bunch of sponsors, and so we were basically there to support them. They were in the Kmart booth. Kmart obviously launching their new roof rack. And so I was a little free to roam a little bit and visit other vendors and find more partners along for the West Coast. So it was a different experience for me at Expo West.
Yeah, I can imagine. We've done these type of events where we have a booth and you can't get out of the booth, and you're like, I want to see all the cool stuff, right. And so that does get taxing. So Rugged Bound is the U.S. distributor of TourTop. So let's kind of start with you, and then we'll talk about Rugged Bound and TourTop. So you clearly don't have a Houstonian accent. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Tupelo, Mississippi. So that's an inside joke from my oil field days. I'll tell you that in a different podcast, or maybe tonight if we get there. But I'm from South Africa. I've been here for about 20 years on and off, mostly on. A few years in Scotland, but I've been here since about 2002.
Okay. I have to believe that South Africa to Houston, that's a pretty straightforward cultural change, right? I mean, there's no real things you need to learn when you get to Houston, right?
So in rugby, we don't pass forward ever. That's a problem. And in cricket, we don't run in a diamond. We just run front to back. But other than that, we eat steak, we drink beer, and we like to go to the beach. So it's a pretty easy transition.
That's hilarious. Pretty easy transition. That moving around from South Africa to the U.S. to Scotland, was that all like personal choices, or was that like for work? What was that work travel like?
Yeah, so actually I didn't move to the U.S. I was working as an engineer in South Africa.
Got it.
And I was hired on by an oil and gas services company in Cape Town. And at that time, I was single, I was 24, no dependents. And I said to them, I would like to work anywhere that ends in a stan, like in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. And they sent me to Texas. And that wasn't the plan. That's just where, the company assigned me on my first assignment. And so I had to get a car and a TV and a couch, decor on the walls. Yeah. Bed sheets. I mean, that wasn't in the plan when I first came to the US or when I joined the company. And so I was really just a nomad working in the oil and gas industry. So I spent a lot of time in South Texas and Louisiana, Scotland, and then moved back to Louisiana and Texas over and over again.
It's interesting. I'm on the job hunt right now. And I've recently seen where some of those countries that end in stan, man, they're willing to pay absorbent amount of money for people in construction and engineering, and like, how long would I have to work over there at that price to retire? But
not long, actually. So our company that I used to work for, they had a coefficient system based on which country in the world it is, and so they had these tables, and so you'd have a base pay, and then you'd have a 1.2, 1.4, 1.6, and 1.75 coefficient. So if your base pay was, let's say, $5,000, then if you're working in this country, you're getting 1.75 times that. Mm-hmm. You're paying a flat tax, and you basically have you've got no expenses because you're housed, you're fed, and because you're an expat, you're pretty much working all the time.
Yeah.
And that was in the days before Amazon, right? I mean, okay, well, Amazon existed in 2002, but you could only really buy books.
Yeah.
It was in the time before e-commerce, so you weren't sitting in a shipping container in the middle of the desert on eBay trying to buy a car in Texas. So it wasn't happening. You would just save all your money, and so it would save up pretty quick. But then when you're on your off rotation, you would find a way to spend it.
Yeah,
so,
all of a sudden your pocket's empty because you blew it all in 48 hours.
Right.
Well, interesting background from oil, all that travel in oil and gas. To how did you get from oil and gas to the overland product supply world?
Right.
How and when did that transition occur?
I don't know, man. We're gonna have to have a podcast for that episode, but we're here now, so let me try and give you the 1 minute version. Well, it's actually there's a bit of a sad story about it as well. However, I'll say this: I didn't get from oil and gas to overlanding. I was overlanding and camping, in South Africa growing up as a kid. I was climbing mountains and living, spending a weekend in a cave while you're climbing a mountain and staying in a cave and transitioning up to the peak and back. It was just a very natural, upbringing in South Africa for me. Going on safari with my dad, and we went up to Kruger National Park a few times. And so there was a lot of the lifestyle. And so I would say I just eventually came back to it. But physically, how it happened for me was in 2009, I think it was. I was driving a D1 Disco Land Rover, 5-speed with a GM Vortec engine swap. I was pulling a Conqueror trailer that some guy from, I think, Atlanta had imported a bunch of Conqueror trailers when his dad went on safari, and thought, these trailers are great. These will sell like hotcakes in America. This was 2006 at that point when he did that. And so obviously no one knew what an off-road trailer was with a tent on top.
Yeah.
And so he brought all these trailers in to Atlanta. He owned a Lexus Toyota dealership, and his son was given all these trailers to, make a business out of it. And so for anyone on this podcast who's listening and remembers the very early days of Expedition Portal, the forum, will remember when these trailers went on fire sale, because the economy crashed in 2008.
Yep.
All these trailers were sitting in a warehouse, and the guy got foreclosed on the guy that owned the warehouse. And so all these trailers had to be sold on a fire sale. And so literally people were driving from all over the country buying these trailers. So I had one of these trailers.
Well, and so I would say trying to start an overland trailer business in Atlanta, probably not the right location to start that, even in 2006. Like that's
there was some key, capital wasn't the problem, but there was some key marketing and strategic decisions, right?
So the demographics wasn't there.
If you just brought them to Colorado, it would be awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I was driving around with this Disco 1 Land Rover with this trailer with an Easy-On tent on my Land Rover, and it was, people were stopping me everywhere thinking I'm going to Mars or coming from Mars. And like all the friends at work would say, Theo, what are you doing? And I said, dude, this is camping, man. This is how I know camping, and this is the future. And I'm like, this is not going to work, man. This is America. When we go camping, we stay at the Holiday Inn. Yeah. And so that was 2009-ish. And so 2010, I was actually running a crew of guys off of the Gulf Coast of Mexico. And if you guys remember the BP Horizon oil spill where the rig blew up, I had actually a crew on that rig, and they were the guys who came off the rig. They didn't do the SEMA evaluation. And so we had some guys died on that rig, right? And we knew them. Friends of mine work with those guys all the time. And so that kind of made me think about, the perspective of life again, what it is I was doing with my life. And that was 2010. And I wanted to start a roof rack company, a modular roof rack company back then, 2010. For a lot of reasons, it didn't work, or I didn't do it, rather. And I just decided to focus on my career. And in 2017, I had a life change in my life personally. And 2018 is when I started this business on my terms, right? And I've been doing it full time now since 2020. So it was a long journey to get back to overlanding and, supporting the thing that I love doing growing up as a kid in South Africa. And I think that the industry in the US, even though it's absolutely blossomed in the last 14 years, I think we're still only seeing the very tip of the iceberg, because there are still so many people who have no idea that you can put a tent on a trailer or awning on a trailer and run a fridge off a solar panel and can go and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
But enough people have realized that you can, to the point where, and I think this is a testament to, a hallmark, almost like a sign of how well the industry is doing, is that the national parks are booked out everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see Subarus with rooftop tents driving around.
Yeah. And but but I do agree that even though it is prolific in our eyes because we're immersed in the community, the percentage of people in any specific geography is minute. Yeah. Like in Southern California, tons of people, rooftop tents and trailers and all that stuff. You go to Colorado, Utah, the Pacific Northwest, but there's giant swaths of land.
But the car makers are making overland ready trucks now. The new Trail Hunter is an overland ready Tacoma.
Yeah,
from the dealer.
Yeah, exactly. And part of that is because they want to, encroach a little bit on the aftermarket business and pull it in. But some companies have done it well, and some companies have not done it well. And some companies realize, well, we just need to leave that to the professionals and partner with companies like Thule for making their own roof racks, even though they come from OEM factory. They'll have Thule roof racks on them.
Yeah.
And so there are examples of collaboration that work really well, and there's examples of OEMs trying to make their own things, and it's nice, but they just don't get it just right. But it's an indication that they realize that there's money to be made there, and there's an interest there, and the consumers want it.
Yeah, and the new Trail Hunter, as an example, has a ton of ARB stuff bolted onto it, and Chevy is working with some other like all of somewhere in between those models, the companies, the manufacturers trying to build it themselves, Nismo, for example. The manufacturers partnering, and then the manufacturers that are like, whatever, do whatever you want.
Sometimes there's better to white label it. Sometimes you can, just do a straight up collaboration, and sometimes you can try to build it yourself. Mm-hmm. But OEMs are very, very cost sensitive, and they want to use their platforms for as long as possible. So designing anything that's specific to a specific model or range is hard, because if you're going to have to make dedicated tooling and everything else. Mm-hmm. So I was surprised to see that Toyota went with making their own roof rack for the Trail Hunter, as opposed to, partnering with someone specific in the industry. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's good that they tried. It's good that they did. I think it looks great. I think we're going to make a really good roof rack for the Toyota Tacoma.
But I think it's easier now because all the OEM, especially like Toyota, they're all making like global platforms. So like that reduces costs on their frame. Like, right? Because before, like a Corolla, a Camry, all the other cars had nothing in common. But now the Tacoma, Tundra, Sequoia, they're all in the same frame. So like same parts get swapped. So it's like less costly to make those three vehicles than it was before.
Yeah, I think internally to the manufacturer, they're reusing parts, but then they're also going back to global markets. The Ford, this current gen Ford Ranger in Australia and South Africa is different than the one here in the States, but the next one will be global. So if there's an aftermarket manufacturer that makes something like the TourTop for that model, it'll fit everything.
Right. I think, Cody, you're right. 2010, I bought a Tacoma, a V6, 6-speed, 4x4. That was the TRD off-road package. And I specifically looked for that car because I really wanted that specific truck. And, I couldn't find it. I had to, this is the day before the dealer markup on the new prices, right? So I found it, but I had to ship it in from some other state. But it had exactly what I wanted. But the longer I had it, the more I realized, man, I should have just gotten the base model, and I would have done this and this and this and this differently. So I think it's great that there's a Trail Hunter package that gives folks what they want. I predict, though, that there's going to be a lot of guys opting for a different package, and then bolting on what they want. So, and you see the same thing with the Gladiator, right?
Yeah.
You see it with the Bronco too.
And I called, so to me that's that's internal aspirational marketing. So aspirational marketing meaning like I'm gonna sell. I'm Ford and I'm putting a Bronco in an off-road race because I want people to see how cool that Ford Bronco race car is. The same thing with the Trail Hunter or the Badlands, or they have to make a certain number of these vehicles that are fully kitted out to give people the visual aesthetic idea of what the aesthetic looks like. And then they go, yeah, but this is like 80 grand. And so most of us are going to say we can't buy that. However, if I bought the base model and over the course of the next couple years bolted on the right parts, I could still make it look that way. And I really think that's what a lot of those top tier vehicles are for, is to get people to buy the base and then aspire to build it up.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So you said 2018 you started the company. That was the Rugged Bound. And when you first started it, what was your plan? You're like, I just want to start something. I want to be a distributor. It's going to be something else. Like, and I asked because I'm wondering like how many twists and turns it took to get to what it is today.
Yeah, great question. I'm gonna try and give the best answer that makes me look really smart, but it's really as simple as I wanted a Land Rover Defender here in the US, and
me too.
Basically, I imported one, and I imported a second one in the same container, and that one paid for the first one plus the shipping. And while I was doing that, I was looking at all the time. I didn't want to get into importing and selling Defenders. I basically learned how to import by doing that. But while I was doing that, I was looking for the right South African company to partner with. I reached out over the last 20 years. I've always been looking actively at which South African brands are ready and worthy of US representation, right? They might be big enough where they will come over themselves. They might be just the right size to come over, but they don't have the right team to bring themselves over, and they need an American partner. Or some companies just need to be pulled into the US because they don't have the mindset that they want to leave South Africa and actually market themselves globally. And so over the course of 20 years, I was actively approaching a lot of companies. One of them is a massive chicken brand called Nando's. And if anyone has ever been to South Africa or Australia or the United Kingdom and ate Nando's, would know that's the most amazing Portuguese chicken from South Africa. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Write it down, Nando's.
Are there any here in the States?
Yeah, they had one in DC and in Manhattan since I think like 20 years ago, but they never expanded from there. And so I've been trying to have a franchise in Houston for Nando's, and they said to me, "No, we're not going to do it because we're going to own all of it. We're not going to franchise. We're going to self-own, self-manage." So okay, cool. So that's not going to happen. I wanted to, when they built the bridge at the Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
So maybe I shouldn't say this one because this one's on a podcast. Okay, I'll skip that.
No, you can say whatever you want here. Like we don't hold anything back.
Nothing's ever stopped me from saying what I want.
We say whatever.
Well, if I say it on the podcast, then everyone's going to hear the idea. And
don't give away ideas. Don't give away ideas.
Let's be honest. Nobody's going to hear it on this podcast.
Yeah, look, there's like 3 of the 12 listeners may hear what you're saying and think about doing it. But
and the other 6 are like our family members, you know, our moms and stuff
mine
like
too.
that.
My wife and probably my daughter's watching us on YouTube right now in the lounge.
Hi guys, we'll try not to embarrass him.
So I actually reached out to RSI. Back when they first started, I was in South Africa in 2012, visiting family, and I saw RSI canopies at the time, and I thought they were really well made. And I reached out to RSI. To see if I could import some of their products to the US, and it's 2014 maybe. But anyway, the point is, they obviously never replied to me. And in 2017, they first came to Expo West to come have a look-see, and now the RSI Smart Cap is here and it's doing extremely well. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I was actively looking to find a South African partner, to dance with, and so I found the ostrich ring awning because I was a member of I Hate Mud. The Toyota off-road community. And on I Hate Mud, I kept on seeing posts about this ostrich wing awning, which is this amazing awning from Australia, and guys are importing their own awnings. This was back in like 2015, 16. And I knew that this wasn't an Australian product. It's a South African product. But for some reason, everyone in the US who were on I Hate Mud were thinking it's an Australian product. And it's because all the YouTubers in Australia were doing pull-ups on the ostrich wing awning. And so that content went kind of viral. And so I started doing more research about Big Country, who make the ostrich wing awning. And I learned, I've known about their products for a long, long time because they've been around for, decades. And that was a company I could, align myself with in terms of their values, their philosophy for how they design products and how they produce. And so that's how that started. And so when I started importing, I first focused on the awning because here we have, and this is important, the world's first 270 awning ever is not being sold in the US.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was the first one.
Yeah, it's the original freestanding 270. Well, I'll take it back. The two awnings were made at the same year. It was 2007, 2008. And there was the Foxwing from Australia, which is now, I believe, either Darcy or the Batwing from Rhinorak, and the Ostrich Wing. And those are two very different awnings, right? The one awning is made to be freestanding in wind, and the other one is made to fail predictably in wind. Because in Australia, well, I mean, I'm not. It's not a pejorative statement. I'm not trying to demean the product. It's just that they camp at the beach all the time in Australia, and they have really strong winds at the beach. So they were like, "Hang on, if the wind comes up, it's going to break the awning eventually, and so let's just engineer it in such a way that it fails."
They've got that
at a certain predictable point.
Yeah, that's the fusible link. They've got it on one of the
My
elbows.
Land Cruiser has one of those.
Yeah. It's
My
all fusible link.
I can't find a replacement for my fusible link.
It's the Toyota fusible link.
Yeah, no, but it's the to your point, it's the one piece where they're like, okay, if it's gonna break, it's gonna break here. It's a plastic part. We could just replace it.
Exactly. And so it's a very pragmatic Australian design. The way Aussies design product is very pragmatic because they have to be self-reliant. When they go off-roading, they go overlanding, they're in the middle of nowhere. So they want to be able to fix their own stuff. They want to be able to know that they can fix it. And so it's just a pragmatic approach. Where in South Africa, where we go camping, typically in the savannah and the bushveld, we don't really have strong winds. We don't have like tornadoes and hurricanes or like super strong gusts. We have nice wind, but we don't have super strong wind, except at the coast. And even at the coast, we've got lots of trees and stuff. So in South Africa, we made the awning, or Big Country designed the awning to be deployed fully without legs, and in most camping situations you won't need even to deploy the legs at all. So there's a different philosophy or different design approach from the two products. So they came out in the same year, effectively, 2008. And so when I saw that folks were buying the Australian distributed ostrich wing awning and flying it into the US to put it on because they thought that was the best awning to get, I realized that there was a gap in the market and they need to be imported and distributed in the US. And so that's what I set about to do.
Australia, they can brag or they can talk about like, wheeling and being self-sufficient out in the middle of nowhere. And that's pretty impressive. But I recall, this is probably a couple of years ago, Jose and Cody here wheeling in Hemet. And, there was a shooting range that they drove through, like, the threat of being shot is real. And there was like a biker gang, I think, that you guys had to negotiate.
I don't remember the biker gang.
I call them biker gangs, but they might have been on quads,
no,
or whatever.
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about.
So all I'm saying is that's our comp, like here in Southern California, is if you can wheel in Hemet, you can probably wheel it anywhere.
Yeah. So back to the ostrich wing.
It's been a while since I trashed Hemet, so
yes,
I just felt
had to fit it in.
That was the timing. Good timing, man.
So on our
nobody high five.
No high five. On our Instagram page, there's a video of me standing under
gave me a thumbs up.
Okay, standing under the ostrich wing at Expo this weekend. We talked about it a little bit, like. It was supposed to rain around 11 o'clock. And like at 10:45, I got on the phone with the guys at Outdoor by 4, and I'm like, hey, your booth, I'm going to swing by. And I got there at 11 o'clock. At 11:01, the heavens opened, hail and lightning and storm just coming down, and we were all just hanging out under the ostrich wing. And I remember thinking to myself, damn, this thing's pretty good. And I looked up that one of the things that's very different about that awning is it's got the aluminum truss frame as opposed to this.
Instead of a single, just like extrusion.
Yes,
it's like a reinforced.
Yes,
like
it's if you go to the rugged
like a truss system.
Yeah. If you go to
look at that construction experience.
If you go to the ruggedbound.com website, and you'll see what we're talking about. So not only does it have the truss type arms, it's got a vertical prop at the anchor at the hinge that pushes up the awning, so that when the rain hits, it does come down at an angle. It doesn't sit and pull up. Point being, I was super impressed with that thing, to the point where I was talking to the guys at Outdoor. I'm like, where'd you guys get this? Where'd you? And I took a picture of the brand before connecting with you the next day to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I got the opportunity to experience that awning, and it was awesome. It is very.
It's funny you mentioned the truss thing, because that's the first thing I noticed when I was standing under. I was like, dude, this thing looks heavy duty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's heavy duty. Look, if it's properly installed, I'm supposed to be 170 pounds, but maybe I'm like 180 right now. But
I'm supposed to be 170 pounds too, but that was like 20 years ago.
Yeah. So when it's properly installed, when you are moving those trusses, those arms, just one of them, you'll see that you're actually articulating the suspension of the vehicle, and it's like you're moving the vehicle, and so there's no movement between the arm and the beam and the roof rack. It's all one thing because of how it's constructed and how it's connected. So there's a lot of companies that now, because that was an actual freestanding awning from design in 2008, and there's a lot of awnings in the market now that claim to be freestanding, but if you read the fine print, it's like freestanding indoors at an expo, and as soon as you're in the real world, you have to the leg out.
Yeah, I've
shots fired, right? Shots fired. But
I've seen a ton of the freestanding awnings over the last couple of years. Like you said, you go to an expo, you go to an event, you go anywhere, they're there. This one is the first one I've seen with that truss systems.
I haven't seen this, but it does seem like a lot of the awnings that I've seen are just like easy ups that they figured out how to strap up to the side of a truck.
Yeah.
You know, like, all right. I mean, I could have done that. But it sounds like you guys actually paid an engineer of some sort to do some math and come up with a real structural solution.
Here, so that's one thing.
Oh, damn. Okay. Apart, right? I'm sorry. Cody just pulled it up on the big screen.
Pictures. Clarify.
That one right there. That picture. Down.
What were you implying?
I don't know. You just
pulled it up. All right.
But there's a picture
it looks like the sun is just shining on Cody.
There's a picture where it zooms in on the truss, dude.
Oh my God. Okay.
But so you can see there's the aluminum truss system, right?
Keep going.
Yeah.
There's a picture that zooms in right on.
Are you gonna show it? I mean, I can't see what you're showing.
Oh, I'm just showing it in
the
studio.
He's showing it, all right.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So it's
that's a different level for sure.
Yeah. Super cool. And you've got them listed on your site at $1,535, which seems to be very competitively
super
priced.
Cheap.
Yes,
like $15.
$15.
Where are you shipping these in from? Like
South Africa.
And,
wow.
And that's with free shipping as well, right? So that's shipping included.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, we try to price it competitively. Because when we came with the product to the US in 2019, late 2018, the problem is that the market's already been flooded with alternative awnings from mainland China that were not designed by anybody specifically. It was just reverse engineered. You just put your label on it. And look, there's a price point and a product for everyone. That's the cool thing about where we are with the industry. No matter who you are and what your price range is, you're going to find a product for you, right? And so it's a very crowded market, and we had to fight for our place in the sun. And marketing is expensive. Product placement is expensive. You don't get your product in a magazine without paying for it. People might not know that, but these editorials aren't free, and the gear guides aren't free. You got to pay to be in a gear guide. Sorry if I'm spilling the beans here on the nasty underbelly of what modern media machines. But so we have to price it competitively so people have a chance to acquire one. And our smaller one, which is the Ostrich Junior, which is still big, it's still 84 inches long beam, and it's a 75 square foot awning. That's priced even better at I think it's $1,150 or $1,199.
1155. I just saw that.
I mean,
$1,155
for sure. This is a premium product, but this is like the last awning you'll need to buy. Not like Matt, you buy those cheap tents, you know, and you got to buy like 4 of them.
Guys, come on now. I've had the same tent for at least 3 years now.
Yeah, but how many tents did it take to get to that one?
Well, the tents that I buy are far less quality than the tent that
Yeah, come on. Let's be correct here.
Casey buys a lot of tents.
Thank you. Thanks.
Matt just breaks all his zippers.
Not anymore. I used to buy a lot of tents.
Looking at that Ostrich Wing Junior, I mean, it's 75 square feet as compared to the 120 square feet. But I think for most of us, with a mid-sized truck, that's probably a really good size. Not only for while it's deployed, but when it's collapsed in the bag. You know what I mean?
Correct. Yeah, we actually made that specifically for 5-foot bed trucks.
Yeah,
so
see.
It's made from the mounting point that you can get from a 5-foot bed truck, which is roughly about 55 inches. Realistically, when you put a track system on there, or, a cargo system, whatever, you're probably going to have around 55 inches of space. And that's what we need for the beam construction. And so 55, if you take 133% of that, you get to 84. And so we extrapolate from what the mounting distance can be, because this is a freestanding awning.
You just did way too much.
That's a lot of numbers getting
thrown
That's structural engineering of beams.
We just
lost
lost 11 viewers. That's it.
Hey, all 11 gone
out the door.
Is this algebra?
Yeah.
You come up with an awning, I'll make it fit my truck.
Yeah.
I'll add beams and everything I got to do. That's what I already did.
Yeah. So the Ostrich Wing, the big one, right? It's so long. It's 105 inches long. You can't just mount it on a short bed truck. You have to have a third mounting point on the cab, and we do that in South Africa quite a lot. The problem is when you do that, you need to pick up the flex between the bed and the cab. So our front mount will have like a small engine mount block.
Okay.
What? So you have a bit of a rubber go between that can flex.
A way to isolate it.
And then so we do that on the short bed. So all the 75 and 79 series Land Cruiser trucks are double cabs. The short bed is at least they're 5 foot as well. And so we have a lot of instances where we mount the big one like that. But for the US market, we decided to give something specific to the guys with mid-sized trucks. Also the Jeep, 2-door Jeeps, they fit really well with 2-door Jeeps.
That's enough said right there. That they've designed an awning with seismic deflection, like in the engineering. That's impressive. Like usually it's like Casey said, look, I'll figure out how to do it. And he's just welding a bunch of braces all over his truck.
That's what I had to do. I had to make a weird kick out to go over the cab to brace it even further.
No, you made it work. Yeah.
No, I
where's your seismic deflection?
No, I like the
Junior. I don't have any
That's
seismic deflection.
I like the Ostrich Wing Junior. That's the one I like. So Rugged Bound Supply Company, if you guys have not gone there yet, ruggedbound.com. So there's also, I want to talk about a couple of the other categories before we get to the TourTop. So you guys have drawer systems. Talk to me a little bit about those.
So Big Country started making drawer systems 20 years ago. And the current model drawer is a Savuti drawer. And what sets them apart is they make the drawer for vehicle specific. And what I mean by that is they don't make a small, medium, and large drawer and then have 20 fitting kits.
Oh.
They literally make 20 different drawers for 20 different vehicles. So inventory management is hard. Manufacturing is hard. Scaling is hard. But that underscores the philosophy of Big Country, which is there are no compromises for the rig. The compromise has to be on our side, on their side, with the side of the manufacturer.
Yeah.
So you're not going to end up with a lot of dead space on the side and on the back of your drawer system. You're going to get the biggest drawer system, the longest drawer system, and the lowest drawer system that's possible for your vehicle. So if you look at the numbers on the website, you'll see the actual volumes are there with all the dimensions, interior and exterior dimensions. And if you do your homework and you compare it to the competition, you're going to find that very often the big country drawer is sometimes 50 to 100% bigger on the inside than the main competition on the market. And you're going to scratch your head and go like, how is that possible? Well, it's because the competition makes a small, medium, and large drawer. So, that's the philosophy. So the drawer systems are amazing. They don't make a kitchen drawer. So that's one thing we don't have is a drawer system that has like a Swiss Army knife kitchen thing that comes out and it's got a stove and a cutting board and everything else. And there's a great reason for that. So Big Country made those drawers back in 2004 and 5, those kitchen style drawers. And after 4 or 5 years of learning and feedback from customers, they realized that no one really likes their car smelling like bacon and propane. And because it's a daily driver.
Bacon and propane little tree thing. That's what I would put in my car.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So there's a compromise there, right? And because most Africans, it's a family affair. So there's wife and 2 kids, small kids typically. And so eventually the bacon propane smell in the car gets old. And so that, in South Africa, we typically have separate kitchen setups. Even if you have a vehicle-based camping system, you'll still have like a pull-out, table somewhere, and you'll put it up next to the vehicle, and that'll be your kitchen. And so in the US, I think, Cody, you mentioned it before, we've developed and we've evolved a lot in the US on overlanding and becoming aware of what's available. And there's a huge push now that I've seen in the last few years on kitchen style drawers. And I think, you can bank this one. I think we're going to see an evolution over a few years. You're going to start seeing people realizing that it's great for some people, but most people are going to find that they don't actually like the kitchen inside the drawer system, inside the vehicle.
Yeah.
And they will evolve to something different.
I think it's
trailer
super,
or a separate kitchen.
Sorry. I think it's super cool, the idea that you pull it out and it's right there. But if I'm going to have a drawer system in my vehicle, I want as much storage as I possibly can get.
Right.
And I'll have a separate cooking situation.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's part of the problem coming from South Africa is we don't have a lot of the US based vehicles there. And so while we are part of SEMA, it's the SEMA garage CAD and scan system that you get access to the vehicles. The cargo area scans and CAD files typically aren't good enough to actually develop a product. You actually have to do it in the vehicle itself.
SEMA Garage is like 20 minutes from our house. Ship us the scanner. We'll go over there. We'll go as reps.
Wait a minute. What are you committing us to?
Trust me, you want to do this.
I don't think
you can do the podcast there, right?
Yeah.
Just do a podcast
I will ship you my Frontier.
Yeah. So it took us a while to do the 5th Gen Forerunner drawer system, but because of that, right? So we had to learn how to develop products here, make it there, get the prototype, test it, ship it, change it, and iterate it, right? And so that took a while. But now, we've got the JLU drawer system coming in August, September. We've got the new Defender drawer system coming. And those drawers are just massive. They're like literally double the size of what everyone else has because they're made for those vehicles, where everyone else is using the same drawer that they use for the FJ Cruiser and the JKU for these vehicles. They just shove in the largest common denominator and then trim it out.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the big companies, right? The usual big companies. I'm not talking about guys who are making custom CNC wooden doors.
And on your website, you've got the Land Cruiser 200 series LX 570 series with the stackable drawers and the cubby for the refrigerator. That's the first time I've ever seen that.
So that's cool. That's our double decker. That's a dedicated off-road rig drawer system. You're not going to go golfing anytime soon if you have that set up.
Well,
right?
I mean, there's still I don't know, 1.5 feet.
There's an attic
space.
Yeah, and so that pairs well with the gull wings that Big Country makes. So they make really nice gull wings, and their gull wings are structural, so they're actually bolted to the vehicle, not just set inside the rubber window mount. So you actually drill and mount a track to the vehicle. So it's dedicated. You got to be, it's like full set. You committed.
Yeah,
at that point.
But it's a super cool setup. Like I said, two drawers stacked one on top of the other, and then a spot for a fridge and a spot for an extra battery. Very, very cool.
If you look at the photos on the back, there's some photos there that shows the back of that drawer,
Yeah.
and you'll see that even the drawer shape at the back is angled.
For the seat.
That matches the angle of the seat.
Yeah.
So it's like there's like no wasted space. On the FJ Cruiser drawer, even the drawer face, if you guys have seen the inside of the FJ Cruiser barn door, it's got a very severe slope on the trim on the inside of the door. So when you close that door, the drawer system, the drawer face has that same angle.
Oh wow.
So you have that little extra space. Yeah. So I mean, these guys are, Big Country do a fantastic job designing drawers. In fact, they white label drawers for another well-known South African company who we shall not mention. When they first started making drawer systems, Big Country actually made them for them. This goes back a while. But yeah, the drawer systems are really, really good. And if you do your homework and you compare the size, the volume that you're sacrificing for a drawer system versus the volume that you're gaining in storage, that ratio is an important thing. And people tend to just buy what they want to from based on what the marketing is telling them. But as this, overlanding community is maturing and becoming more smart about understanding what it is they're getting for their money and what you're getting for the space that you're sacrificing, these things will become more and more important. And I believe strongly that the Big Country drawers, that we've only scratched the surface, and everyone who has them loves them. We've had, 4 years of selling, 3 years of selling these drawers, we've had like one or two issues with manufacturing quality or something. Obviously, we take care of the problem when it arises. But these drawers use the best sliders. They don't rattle. If something's rattling, then there's something wrong. There's something that can be fixed. There's a loose bolt somewhere. But these drawers don't make a sound if they're properly installed and properly put together. And they're properly shipped they're properly packed for shipping. So they should arrive on a pallet. You just slide them in, bolt them down, and you're done. There's no construction happening.
Awesome. Yeah, if I had an SUV, I would definitely go back through the drawer system situation, especially something like that, because you talked about like having them custom made. Sometimes those are great the first two trips. By the third, fourth, fifth trip, they're just rattling everywhere, right? And
I mean, there's a lot of shortcuts that I see companies are using. Really, I would say, just open source drawer sliders. So there are companies that have spent a lot of R&D on drawer sliders, and some of my distributors or some of my dealers who sell our products and sell other products as well, they call me a slide snob. So because I actually look at the brand of the slide that's being used on the drawer, right? And if companies are selling products and they're using slides that have no name on the slider, they're using a open source, remanufactured Chinese copy version of someone else's product, there's something to be said for design. There's something to be said for patents and IP, and there's something to be said for understanding what's quality. And if you're using a lot of quality components when you're building your product, versus if you're going for the cheapest option, it's a problem that I see more and more often, where there's drawer systems that are like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. And when people open them up and I look on the side, it's like, that's an Amazon slide.
Yeah. But I mean,
they bought it on Amazon for like, $25.
But that's kind of where we are. Like, unless you have enough experience, and I think everybody here, especially Casey and Cody, you guys have built your own slide systems or drawers or whatever, and you have the experience to know, like, nah, man, this is like, it's just going to wear out. I just figured this out and I put it together and it works. It's not that it doesn't work or whatever, but you just you bought some product again off Amazon or from Home Depot or whatever. But then what you didn't realize was, this is going to be torqued and twisted and you're going to be on the trail, and all that wear and tear is going to be extremely excessive.
Yeah.
So Matt, you're right. So in South Africa, we have a 20-foot shipping container filled like to the waist with discarded sliders. So Big Country are constantly buying sliders. They're constantly buying different vendors, demo products. They're constantly finding different sources, and they use them, they test them, and they discard them. They've got thousands of different manufacturers' slides that are just piled up because they couldn't muster they couldn't make the grade.
So what you're saying
And
is
so-
the skateboard bearings and the Unistrut that I used for my first slide.
There-
Remember that slider I
You're
made
gonna
in my
use-
back of my truck?
That's
you-
exactly
there's
what I was
nothing
thinking.
worse.
I made a
There's
full.
nothing worse than something rattling around
Oh,
inside of your rig
I made
the
a
entire
full-
time that you're off-roading.
It was a full bed slide with like
Right.
literally Unistrut and skateboard sliders.
Well, you
and-
weren't using a Spitfire bearing. That
No,
was
no,
your
for sure,
problem.
yeah.
Yeah, you should have used like what's it, SKF
Yeah.
8088 or what is it? What's it?
Whatever
I
it
can't remember.
was,
I
it didn't.
skateboard.
It didn't last. By the end of Mojave, by the time we finished Mojave,
Exactly.
there wasn't much of it
And-
left,
and
so it
that's-
came out.
And that's I think my belief now is, like when it comes to, certain suspensions or whatever, like if Ford or Chevy or, Toyota, they spend millions of dollars on engineering and
It's more like B.
whatever. I just meant for their lesser quality vehicles. But either way, they spend a lot of money to engineer things. And, if you try and just rig something up from Home Depot, and you can have the best of intentions, but it's not going to meet that same level of expertise, and that's something I think nowadays is kind of missed. But whatever. That's me rambling.
Yes.
That is me rambling.
Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is what you mentioned it to us when we ran into you this weekend, was the new cell signal booster. Now this is
Yes.
so this is something that
What if I don't want that?
So,
do you have a cell service like blocker?
yes, you can put it
Yeah,
on.
it's the off button. You
Yeah.
hit
Oh,
off.
shit.
Um,
All
And
right.
the one I sell has an off button, so you should still get it.
yeah. but this is
Kudos.
something that we've had multiple discussions about whether or not you
Touche.
want to be connected or not connected. But when you do want to be connected, like again, if you have the ability to turn off, that's great. But when you do want to be connected, and you have the T-Maybe, because this weekend too, my signal was absolute shit at Expo this weekend.
But
and,
I had full bars,
and
I
he had
still-
full service. Everybody that was struggling was on
Yeah.
T-Mobile.
No,
Everybody.
But I couldn't get anything
Yeah.
out anyways because it was so bombarded.
Yeah.
Everyone was on the network there.
But
so.
my point being,
So-
like, if you want a signal booster, like, that's one of those things where I think, especially if you do any solo or one or two people trips, like having that ability. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so I'm so happy that you mentioned the Expo and T-Mobile and everyone's experience, because I actually did a test while I was there.
Oh, really?
So,
I think Cody said T maybe.
Yeah, T-Maybe.
maybe. Yeah, T-Maybe. So sorry, I'm not allowed to say it. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
no.
Oh no, you can say
No, that's it.
So okay, so Bolton Technical is the company who makes this product, and they've been around for 15 years. And over the last 15 years, they've either seen, sold, or worked on every single signal booster product that's out there. Their sister company, or actually their parent company, is actually Wilson Amplified and Wilson Amplifiers, and they've also got another company called signalboosters.com. They're affiliated, and so they do signal boosting solutions for commercial properties, apartments, big factories, using a range of products, including some of the WeBoost products, which is made by Wilson Electronics. So, after 15 years of experience, they wanted to create something in the market that harnessed all the improvements, as marginal as they may be. They wanted to figure out a product range that captures all of the improvements and opportunities for improvement that they could see from their experience. And that's where Bolton Technical comes from. They basically designed their own system. And so they just launched in May, so it's very new to the market. But it's exciting because their products are all geared and aimed for addressing the little gaps and the little needs that they've come to experience from making kits, selling kits, and servicing kits from a range of different manufacturers.
I like this in the product specifications. It talks about having the antenna, and that you can remove the antenna without pulling the antenna wire. Like there's a disconnect
Yes.
at the antenna, so you could
Like a quick release.
yeah.
or-
So you like, hey, I don't need it. I'm cruising around town. I can take my antenna off so it doesn't get broken or stolen, and then easily attach it.
Yeah, exactly. So the antenna itself, I mean, we're overlanding, right? So if you're overlanding in Missouri or in Arkansas, at some point,
if you're overlanding
help
in
us.
Missouri, or sorry, I'm sorry for you.
well, I mean, there's some really nice trails in the Ozarks, right? So at some point, but the trails there are very, very tight. So your awning bag's going to get ripped, your roof top tent is going to get bashed, and at some point, if you forget it, your antenna will get smashed by a tree trunk or by a tree branch or something. So at some point, the antenna will be busted. And so with the Bolton technology solution, you simply just disconnect the antenna and put a new antenna in, and you wire it, reconnect the wire, and you're done. So you don't have to buy a whole new system and rerun the wire. And if we make a permanent installation, we obviously want to run the wire into a certain place, into the headliner, down the C pillar or B pillar, wherever, down to power supply. With their system, all that stays in place. You don't have to touch any of the wiring. You just pop the antenna off and put the new antenna in.
A dumb question. So going back to CB technology, the antenna had to be mounted in a specific way so that there was enough metal plane underneath it so it can bounce. I'm assuming that's not the case. Like, is this something where you just find a place to mount it? Is there any restrictions or requirements for the antenna?
Well, so the booster itself is a 50 dB booster, which is the FCC mandates how strong the boosters can be. So regardless of what anyone claims about their signal booster, the actual booster that sits under your seat or wherever, that's a 50 dB boost. The antenna has its own gain that it gets from its design of what the antenna looks like and how it's manufactured, right? So those two things combined is what gives you the gain. The proximity of the antenna that's on your roof to the little antenna that's inside your cab that you hook up to your phone, if you bring those two things too close together, they will oscillate.
Oh, okay.
However, at a 50 dB boost with that small of an antenna for your cab, the chances are that you have to bring them extremely close. And so that's not really an issue. As long as that thing is on your roof somewhere, you're fine. Obviously, the taller you can get it, the higher you can get it, the better. But so we would put it on a roof rack. If we had a truck, we would still put it on the roof rack of the truck as opposed to on the cargo system of the bed, because you'll still get a little bit of extra height.
Got it.
Now, what if I had a flux capacitor? Where would that fit in with that scenario?
That's in series. You wire it in series.
Yes, definitely in series.
You want it to flux while you're
While it's
boosting.
capacitating.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you must flux and capacitate at the same time.
You're on another, Theo. You're on another level. Like, I think the questions that are being what are you doing on this podcast?
Yeah. He's
I mean, thank you.
And he's drinking.
You're very you're very knowledgeable.
To be on the show,
Yeah.
dude. He's like, these guys are idiots. Like,
No.
I don't think we're ready.
He spent enough time with us at SEMA. He knew we were idiots.
Nobody told me I was supposed to bring a notepad and start taking notes tonight,
No, don't worry. I will repeat the same things for you in the next podcast.
Awesome.
Don't have to write anything down. No notes needed. I will repeat.
You'll only do it for so long, and then you'll get tired of it.
I mean, Matt's writing his notes in crayon, so.
Yeah.
Like those big ones, like the construction ones.
And then the next category, you've got the fully welded roof racks. Tell me about, because I'm looking at one on the website that's a rack on top of an 80 series, and it's
hey Cody, can I borrow the Trail Tracer's credit card? Because there's like 8 things I want to buy from
for
the
sure.
website.
It's got a limit of $4.
You got that podcast money.
You got the podcast money. It's got $4 available on it. So tell me about the roof racks, because I think the roof racks then tie into our next topic of the tour.
Yes, exactly. So the roof rack is actually the product that they made first. So this is a fully welded roof rack made from all custom extrusions. So these guys designed a rack, then they designed the extrusions needed to build the rack, then they made the tooling for that extrusion, pushed the extrusions, and then made the rack, right? So the rack is made with from an engineering point of view, everything, all the loads are stacked. Okay. So you have your setup that goes to the vehicle's roof. You have a load bar that sits on top of it, and you have floor planks that sit on top of that. And then the perimeter around it is, those load bars are dovetailed into the perimeter, so it sits on a layer, and those are dovetailed in and then welded in as well. The corners of the rack are actually made from cast aluminum. Big Country actually casts their corner pieces in-house in their own foundry. So they have an aluminum foundry in the factory, and those corners are welded into the roof rack. So this roof rack is one piece. When it shows up, it's on a massive pallet. It looks like a bed frame. All you do is you flip it upside down, you put the feet on, and you mount it to your car, and you're done.
Yeah, I'm looking at the on the Forerunner version. I'm looking at the zoomed in version of the corner, and yeah, it's just one solid piece with the square tube welded on either side, and like no fittings, no screws, no junction points.
So that counters or that what I said earlier, as far as like, you bolt something together and you just buy a bunch of hardware, at some point that's gonna fail. Like no matter how, one solid piece is like unbeatable. If you can get something molded in one solid piece, you can't.
So we don't use 8020.net. Is what I'm trying to
say. You eliminate like installer errors.
Is that a dating site?
Shots fired.
Hot chicks, old dudes, 8020.
Hey, we got to the movie with rivets, all right?
So the roof rack, Cody, the Big Country roof rack goes back to 1990. So it's unclear exactly when they started it. It's early 1990s. So this goes back almost now 32 years, right? And in that time, the rack has only been updated, I think, twice, where they've basically changed the thickness and the size of the extrusions, but ultimately the design stayed the same. Now, it's not the sexiest rack, right? It's not going to win the most sexy points on Instagram for the hero shots. But if you're a hardcore overlander and you want to just forget about your rack and make sure it's supremely functional and reliable, this is a rack to get because, simple things like bolting a tent to a rack, this rack is level on top. There's no edges. So you can just lay the thing on top. You don't have to have $150 fitting kits. You just drill a hole through the floor plank because the floor plank is single-sided. It's not a box extrusion. So you can just drill a hole, use a washer and a bolt, and bolt your tent straight to it. Yeah. So the installation kit for a tent is like $5. So these things are just made like they're bomb-proof pretty much. And so I know a lot of people have been putting Mazda Miatas on their racks, and a lot of people have been putting a lot of people on their racks. We stay out of that conversation. Our rack is rated to 550 pounds dynamic load if it's got 6 feet, and 720 pounds if it's rated if it's got 4 feet like the Land Cruiser. Mm-hmm. So Land Cruiser 200 series.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Like that looks like a beautiful rack to me.
I was gonna say I'm looking like the Gladiator photos and the Forerunner photos. Rack. I think it's very complimentary to the vehicles. So I don't know that I would say it's not sexy. Ooh, what you got?
Oh man,
props. Yeah. So I guess what I was saying was this is the side extrusion of the roof rack.
Okay.
So you can see the thickness there. That's 1/8 inch thick.
Yeah. That's about average.
You've got an MA channel at the bottom.
That's an average thickness.
And you got an MA channel at the top. And so on the side of the rack, it'll just look like this.
Yeah.
But you can run an MA track on the top and the bottom. And then this is where the load bars sit in. So the load bar sits in here and it gets welded into position. And then on top of that, you've got the floor plank, which is also 1/8 inch thick.
Yeah.
But it's single, so you're not going to crush an extrusion. So you can't normally drill through a floor plank here and then bolt up because you'll crush it.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it's got 1.25 inch flat space, and so you can just bolt up straight to there if you don't want to use the MA track. So that's some of the building blocks of the Big Country roof rack, and they've been like that since 1991.
All right.
Originally it was called African Outback, and in 2007 the companies merged. And so there's a lot of heritage and a lot of experience behind building really strong racks that are really durable.
Right there when he was like showing us like the thickness or whatever, like I'd noticed like me and Casey were making the same face like that's pretty good.
No, that's you don't really see any racks like
it looks solid to me.
I get it. It makes sense.
But now let's take that 30 years of rack and load control heritage and talk about the belle of the ball, the TourTop. So when we met you at SEMA, it was the Smart Top, and then
Mhm.
there was a name change. I'm assuming there's some back end story behind that. So now it's the TourTop. It's I can't see
Yeah.
what's his. I love it. He's got a sticky note.
That's that's a rebrand right there.
So the TourTop. So we talked about this quite a bit after our SEMA show. It has that same basic structural foundation of the roof rack we just discussed, but it combines the additional functionality of like a tonneau cover with gas struts and the ability to hold a significant amount of load and be lockable. So I'm assuming that's just an evolution of the things that they learned building these roof racks, and then it turned into this.
Yeah, exactly. So look, we know that in the US, the roof rack business is going in a certain direction, right? Everyone in the industry is moving in that direction. All the big names are now pivoting in that direction, where the big country racks are on this side, fully welded, fully constructed, and palletized, where everyone else is trying to go as close to possible to IKEA because it's better for manufacturing, it's better for inventory control, it's better for making new racks for new vehicles because you can just use the components. And at the end of the day, the customer is the one who has to compromise, right? Because ultimately they're not getting the strongest option. You can make a modular rack very, very strong, but there's a lot of costs involved to do that. So we know that we're never going to be bigger than 1% of the market with the welded roof racks, and we only have certain specific customers going to want that, and that's fine. That's the philosophy of the company. But what we did have is amazing raw materials, an amazing know-how and building skill to build something really cool. And so we decided to apply that and make a product for the truck market that is available and possible to be sold to anyone who has a truck and wants a bed cover, but is expecting more and demands more in terms of functionality and usefulness and versatility from the truck bed cover.
Yeah, and that was the thing that struck us the most about the product at SEMA is we've seen truck covers and everybody has their opinion on them, but when we met with you and you were demonstrating the product to us, every hole we tried to poke into why not to get a truck cover, you're like, oh no, I got you covered. Look at this. Oh no, you can load this much on it. Oh look at it, pops itself up with one finger. Like at the end of it, we're kind of looking at each other like, okay, I think he solved it. I think
I need one of those.
These guys were pining. I was the only loser to not go to SEMA.
Yeah.
And the first thing I heard when I talked to them after they got back from SEMA, how was SEMA? Oh my God. Oh, you have to see this product.
it was.
Oh dang! What the hell is it?
It was because look, one thing, Theo, that we do regularly on this show is waffle, and we will have a conversation about bed racks versus tonneau covers, trailers versus rooftop tents, ground tenting. We're constantly back and forth. And it's very rare for us to land on something and then all agree at the same time that that's probably the best solution. This was the first product I think that we all went, that's right, that's the one. Like that's so.
Once the problem is, right, this product is so novel, it's so unique. There's nothing quite like it in the market, and when people see it for the first time, there's so much different things about it that you don't actually know what you're looking at, even when you're looking at it. You don't see the potential. And that's a challenge we have in the marketing. Cody, you guys at SEMA saw it in, being used. You saw it being opened up and closed, and you saw what it was carrying and what it could do. But when you try and translate into photos, it doesn't quite translate easily. You need to see the videos. You need to see all these different ways of putting stuff on there because it's literally unlimited.
Yeah.
There's literally an infinite amount of ways that you can use this thing, whether you're a plumber or an electrician or an overlander or a cyclist or a kayaker or a surfer or a skier. The list goes on. Or you're just a guy who wants a nice truck bed cover that's secure and safe and strong. It'll work for you as well, right? So it just works for everybody, and the options really are unlimited.
It was literally like 2 weeks after SEMA, maybe 3 weeks, and we were scouting campsites for King of the Hammers. And so we were trying to do this hill climb, and I had my cooler and like some bags or whatever. And there was like this whooped out section before this hill climb. And I hit it hard in my truck, and the cooler came bouncing out, and I go, somebody take video and send it to them Smart Top guys, because I need this a solution.
But going back to what you were just saying, the modularity of it, right? So, and I think we talked about this.
Not a word.
100%, it's a word.
It's a word.
Modularity.
100%, it's a word.
I use it every day.
I used the word proclivity earlier, and I got kudos for it. So the modularity of the
modulation.
Modulation is very different. In a building automation system, modulation is when you're going from one side. Never mind. We'll talk about it later.
Circulation.
Oh no, he's got the dictionary because this is his third language.
Oh my god.
The modularity of the unit is so
We
much.
are M, by the way, already. So that's cool.
To your
He
point,
has books.
to your point, if you're overlanding,
He just went and grabbed a
I know,
book.
I know. If
Hey,
you're
growing up, we used to have a big red dictionary.
Oh, dude!
on
I had
our
the big
living
red
room.
dictionary, and my grandmother bought me a full set of encyclopedias.
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
of
We had an
course.
We had
entire
those.
set of
Casey, yep.
encyclopedias.
But it's set up in such a way that like you could literally
office
create
smelt of
your
rich
own Lego
mahogany.
kit of these types of brackets and bolts to hold your
attachment points.
attachment points. When I'm going overlanding, click, click, click. This is what I have here. When I'm going to my job as a plumber, click, click, click. Like you can literally change out the functionality of your TourTop in the course of a few minutes before your adventure on a weekend. And I think that was the thing that struck me the most was
that, and then when you have all that stuff on top of it, you can
still
still
open
open
it,
it,
yes.
and get
Yeah.
into the bed.
Exactly.
What's the
So
verdict,
that's
Theo? What's the verdict, Theo? What'd you find in your book?
well, I found modulation, but it's a very long. I'm sure the transitive verb and the adjective verb and everything is already there. So I'm not gonna. I want to keep the
just a
focus
phone
on
book.
this topic.
So
'Cause
the
Cody
meaning
is,
of
like, really
meaning of
working hard on-
modularity in English, the quality of consisting of separate parts
Oh,
that,
geez.
when combined, form a complete whole.
There you go. Boom. So look, Cody, you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head there. So the TourTop can be one thing now, and then it can be a different thing over the weekend. And to get from here to there is super easy. And what you can do with it is already really just up to you. So for everyone who's listening to this and thinking, what the hell are these guys talking about, right? So it's basically a roof rack with
For the bed.
17 T-slots already on the top and 4 on the underside, but it's also a bed cover, and it can also open and close because it has gas struts, and the gas struts, everything is bolted to the vehicle in a way that makes sure that the dynamic load rating is actually supported. So we don't use bed clamps. So that's the first thing to understand, that there's a difference between this bed cover and any other bed cover in the market. Any other bed cover in the market, they use these aluminum C-clamps.
C-clamps,
right?
yeah.
And they're really just friction clamps. If you look at them closely, they just kind of like go like this, and they, anyway. So from the outset, the engineering in South Africa said, nope, we're not using those, because when you have a dynamic load and the shifts, those things just tend to, fail at some point. So they wanted everything to bolt into the vehicle. And so every TourTop that we make, or that Big Country makes, has its own chassis section and its own bracket section that's made for that vehicle. So for a Tundra, a Tacoma, a Ranger, an F-150, Gladiator, they've all got different style brackets that works with their sets of holes to get everything where it needs to be. So this thing is bolted into the vehicle, and that's why the Ram and the Silverado are the last ones that we're making in terms of the timeline, because Toyota, Gladiator, and Ford, they have a lot of threaded holes in the bed. And when OEM designers place threaded holes in the bed, they do so in strong places, and so you can use those holes. So we design around them because we don't want to drill, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the Ram and the Silverado, you have to drill a few places and put some plus nuts in, not riv nuts, plus nuts, and then we also designed an actual clamp system that uses the GM. In the GM vehicles, you have the ovalized slot.
No, I
in
don't.
the bed.
I'm
It's kind of like
I'm too good to
like
buy
an
a
oval
GM
slot that
vehicle.
looks like this. And so we had to design a product that goes into that slot, secures itself, and then becomes a threaded hole that you can bolt into.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot more work that we need to be done for Silverado and for Ram, but those are coming out later in this year. We've got the dry testers going on here right now in Houston. But
any plan for
the product
Frontier?
is
I was going to ask about that, Jose.
for the Frontier is on the list. Yeah, the Frontier is on the list.
Only the third gen or second gen as well?
No, it'll be the third gen and the second gen. We just have to make sure we cover all the current gens before we step back to a previous gen. But the Frontier is easy to work with because of all the tracks as well, right? So as long as it's got tracks and holes already in there, it actually makes it quite easy. But
and the dynamic load, what is the dynamic load for the listeners?
550 pounds. So when you're camping, obviously you can put a lot more on there. You can sleep on it, no problem. But while you're driving, the limit is 550. Which,
but
if you're looking at a mid-sized truck, that's actually quite a lot.
I was just gonna say at that, like in the, I'm looking at the Ranger because it's the best truck in the world, and when you look at what you're gonna put on that, by the time you put a rooftop tent and a couple gearboxes and you hang some stuff from underneath,
I think you've exceeded your dynamic load on your Ford Ranger.
It got you home, didn't it?
I'm just saying.
Ouch. No, 550 is a ton of weight to just.
Yeah.
That's two of me.
Yeah. And so the power to weight ratio is also important, right? This product only weighs about 100 pounds. So that's, wrap your head around that. There's a 100-pound truck bed cover and it's carrying 550 pounds. So there's a power to weight ratio element to be understood and respected and admired about this thing as well. It's actually very, very light.
Well, I weigh 250. I can only carry
100 pounds. But there's other products on the market that, for example, the specs are somewhere around. It weighs 200 pounds and it can hold 400 pounds. Like, so you're only getting 400 pounds of weight, but you're carrying an extra 200. This goes the opposite direction. It's lighter and carries more.
Yeah, and so we moved that design philosophy into the slider as well. So we have a tour slide, which is very, very low profile, because we wanted to create the most amount of volume on a bed slide. While it won't be the strongest bed slide, we have to compromise. It'll be the lowest profile. So it's only 1.25 inches above the bed, which is nuts, right? If you think about it, it's just this much.
Yeah, so my brother Casey here is a great fabricator, and he made me a great bed rack, and it's super awesome. And my rooftop tent sits up there; it's all custom. But we talked about it after the fact, like moving all that weight that far up absolutely changes the dynamic of my off-roading.
Yeah.
He built himself a rack that is much lower, and I can see the difference in the body roll of his vehicle versus mine on the same trail. And the idea of having something like this that brings that weight capacity back down is super appealing.
Yeah, and you can make this thing look as tactical as you want, and you can make it look as sleek and as simple as you want. So if you want the look of the Max Trax with the high lift jack and the tent in the middle, you can do that.
Yeah.
Right? We've got accessories for those things. We've got load bars coming for the guys that want the look of the load bar. We have nice low, mid, and high profile load bars that's going to be available soon. We've got different Max Trax, or I would say Action Max Trax, mounting systems. We have bike rack systems, but the TourTop is pretty agnostic. It's got M8 channels, so you just run an M8 or a 5/16 bolt in there. Anything with a half inch head, and you can bolt it down. So if you have already got let's say a fork mounted, bike rack system from a different manufacturer, you can mount that on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to buy we don't have any proprietary, hardware or proprietary stuff that you have to use with it. If you can imagine it, if it can be bolted down, you can imagine it, you can probably do it on this thing.
We talked about that a little bit about like, if I have this specific toolbox, got this specific footprint, I can fab a sheet metal bracket with some M8 bolts and it just drops right in. You know what I mean? Like there's no limitation to which which is very different than some of the other load product carrying products out on the market where you're like, okay, yeah, maybe they have molly panels or something, but there's a limitation to what you can do there. This is just a giant flat surface that you can bolt almost anything to. And I'm imagining there's going to be an open source community of sorts that will go, hey, I 3D printed this bracket to mount my X, Y, and Z here. Here's the model, or even additional accessories for this as it gets more and more popular in the States.
Exactly. And so we're looking forward to partnering with a lot of different brands when we can take their products and we can confirm, yes, this fits. So customers can buy the TourTop knowing that, okay, this will fit, this will fit, this will fit. But, Kuwait make a great new bike mount called the Piston SR. That fits. Zargus boxes, they fit. Rome cases, they fit. One-up wheel bike mounts, they fit. Everything that you can imagine. Even like the MaxTrax Boomerang, everything will fit because there's so many load bars or there's so many tracks on there that you can make it work one way or another.
What I just thought of, you mentioned that you're coming out with load bars, low, medium, and high, that will also bolt to the top of this. So if you bolted a mid-height load bar to it with your rooftop tent on, you've now created this cubby space where you can put additional gear like underneath the tent.
Yeah, you can put more shit on the back of your truck.
Yes, buddy. I can put
so
much stuff.
That's your wet dream right there.
It's so excited
I'd like
now.
to bolt more things.
And then at the end of the day, you can still open it up.
I am so excited about this.
Wow.
This is great. This is
Cody can fit Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's.
Yes. Yes.
Goodness.
The accessories, like all the clamps and all that stuff, is that something that can be purchased from you directly too, or is it like, hey, go find whatever you want to do whatever you want?
Yeah, so we actually launched the TourTop Covers website a couple of weeks ago. So on tourtopcovers.com, which is the US website, you'll be able to find the products and you'll be able to find the accessories. And as we build up accessories, we're going to be partnering with a lot of different brands, and we'll be, selling their products there as well. So in other words, the idea or the vision would be that as we check and test and confirm things that work, we'll try to sell those items on the same website. Right? So in other words, you can just buy everything in one place. So that way, when you're building your platform, you know what works. And I think a lot of companies are going that route. But the good news is that, you don't have to buy a set of tracks to then buy a set of load bars so that you can put your tent on your loadable truck bed cover, right? You can just bolt your tent onto the truck bed cover. So whether it's through little brackets that you fab from Home Depot, or whether it's because you bought our tent pedestals, or it's because you have some front runner quick release, tent mounts from your previous roof rack, whatever it is, you can use it to just bolt the tent straight to the cover, to the TourTop, and your solution is there. So our solution out of the box gives you just so much more opportunity. We're not forcing you to buy additional things to make this thing work for you.
If you're looking for a test bed to keep coolers inside the bed of your truck, however you mean to do it, whether it's above the shell or not, like I'm your guy. Like,
they don't make it for Frontier.
Oh,
not yet.
We will. We will
I
said test bed,
but they do make it for the Ranger.
Are we talking about My Frontier?
They do make it for the Ranger.
I've never seen a cooler come flying out of the bed of your truck.
No, because I know how to use tie straps.
I was talking about Casey.
I said when we left SEMA, and then I saw this, I'm like, the ultimate combo would be this with the decked, because you can have drawer system, and then this thing you can have access to it.
I honestly do think that this type of product changes the way that someone would use their truck in a more versatile, functional manner. Both coming from a construction world and the outdoor world. Like I could totally see, like, especially like an independent contractor that has a ladder rack and toolboxes, whatever. He's got the quick feet all set up so he can Monday through Friday go do those things, and he's got the TourTop closed and locked, so you can't get into it. And I got my tools and stuff in there. Hey, it's Friday night. After work, we're gonna go off roading this weekend. Open up the TourTop, make a couple changes of foot mounts, and now you've got all your overlanding gear dialed in. And I don't know of any other product that has that level of modularity and versatility.
Yeah, and the number one question we get from people who are on the fence is, how do I remove it from my truck if I needed to go and fill up some mulch at Home Depot on Saturday?
Go move a refrigerator for your buddy.
So if it's a refrigerator or a stove or something from Home Depot or Lowe's, you just slide it on top of the deck.
Yeah,
and you strap it down. You don't need to use the truck bed anymore. You can just slide it around under the TourTop.
As long as it's less than we always use the argument of plywood. Well, what if I needed to load plywood? Drywall. Yeah. Then you just drop
lay
it
right
on
top
of
the drywall. No, that's great.
Yeah, but I don't want to help anyone.
That's
move
the other
that
thing. If
shit.
I have this, you can say, "Look, man, I can't.
I can't, dude.
I can't help you move. I can't because
Right.
of my thing."
So, but if you do need to go to the aggregate place where they're going to drop a bucket of loose mulch in your truck bed, it's going to take you 8 minutes to uninstall the whole thing. So if I'm going to be going tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, I'm going to be doing some mulch runs. That Friday night, you just uninstall it. You just undo some bolts, you undo some clips on the bottom, pop with the gas struts, you lift it off, you put it against the wall, and you're done. So then you've got access to your truck.
The mulch runs sound like something if you ate something bad, like I had the mulch run so bad.
I've seen you do the mulch run more than
I've
once.
been in the bathroom all morning with mulch run.
So in Houston, right, it's very humid here. There's lots of grass growing all the time. There's lots of weeds in the gardens, and so people I've never seen so much mulch being sold in my life.
Wow.
Living in Houston, it's crazy. Every spring, everyone just goes and buys mulch, and then just spends 2 weekends throwing mulch everywhere.
Wow,
and
that
all the garden
doesn't
beds.
sound like a good time at all.
No.
No,
What's the weight of for the Ranger? What's the weight of the TourTop once you pull it off the truck?
So the TourTop that goes up and down, the actual solid piece is 80 pounds.
Oh, ridiculous!
Yeah.
I think I could even lift that.
Yeah, you just pull it off the back and then lay it down.
One blow to Achilles away.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. So it's awkward because it's so large, right? I mean, it's 5 foot wide and 5 foot tall.
Yeah, but
so,
Get used to it,
So it's a little bit tricky, but I mean, it's very easy for two people, and one person could do it. You just need to plan how you're going to do it, how you're going to pull it off, what you're going to drop it down on so it doesn't get marred.
At 80 pounds, you slide it off, set it down one corner, and stand it up.
You walk it wherever
you
want.
Exactly. Yeah, just put like a blanket or something underneath it, so it doesn't get busted.
Just mar it up. I'm okay with marring it up, right on the concrete and then dragging it.
So, but yeah, I mean,
I would treat it like
like your drone.
That sounds like a story. Why do you give you a drone, man?
Just go back a couple of years.
Matt's
it's
not
a good story.
Matt's not good with things. Things try to go away from Matt.
Things are not good.
That's why he can't have good stuff.
You can't have good things at all.
Oh, tell me
He's not meant to interface with the machine.
Yeah, no.
Ex machina.
Ironically enough,
describe interface.
Yeah.
So I'm super glad that we got you on the show to talk more about this, because we have literally since SEMA in November had a dozen conversations on this show about this product. And hearing about kind of the genesis of it and the iteration over 30 years.
At least 6.
Okay, 6.
Okay, I'm just being honest.
Maybe 6 on the show and 6 out of the trail.
If we're talking about off the show, dozen for sure.
But it's we've been to SEMA multiple times, and it's very rare for us to be stuck on a product like this.
Wow, that means a lot, guy. I really appreciate that feedback. It means a lot to me.
So one of our viewers has a question.
Okay,
viewers.
He wants to know, how is this thing in the dust?
So it is dust proof. Even the locks we use to lock it down, those locks are IP67 rated. Some trucks are better than others in seating on the sides, right? So truck beds, when you're off-roading, the truck bed does move. right? So there is some torsion, some torque happening on the truck bed, and there's some bed flex. So when the bed flexes, you can maybe lose some seal here and there. But on the SEMA Tundra, the one that you guys saw, um, Chris was driving from Kansas City to Vegas. And before he did that trip, he was doing a lot of stuff in Arkansas, Red Dirt, Oklahoma. And when he first got the TourTop on his truck, after his first trip off road, when he opened the TourTop, the entire bed, all his bags, all the gear, everything was just covered in like a quarter inch of dust because the sealing system is so good that it creates a low pressure environment. And as you're driving, you got high pressure in the back of the truck, and it gets sucked in and it gets in from the tailgate. So what we tell customers is you really have to get a aftermarket tailgate seal kit. So as we progress and as we get bigger and better, we will probably have our own tailgate seal kits. But as of now, today, you can buy basic, extrusion, rubber extrusions on Amazon for like $25, and that peel and stick, and they do a great job. So Chris got a pair of that from Amazon, just as an experiment, and he lined his truck bed on his Tundra because the Tundra has huge gaps at the tailgate. When you look down, you can see like there's massive gaps. So once he sealed that, he had no more dust. So sorry for the long answer, but yes, the TourTop seals out dust. However, you can pull dust in from the cavities and the crevices of your truck bed. So you need to put in an aftermarket seal kit.
So I'm wondering if you could install a
some sort of air pump.
No. Just a pressure crossover tube. So like if you had a hole in the bottom, somewhere in the bed with a half-inch, quarter-inch tube that comes out of the bed and maybe up into the engine compartment with a filter on it.
Are you talking about a tour snorkel?
Yeah, exactly. Tour snorkel. But essentially,
hashtag
we own that.
Tour snorkel.
But essentially, if you're trying to equalize pressure in two spaces, it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a large hose to do that. You could use a quarter-inch hose.
Does it take a lot of hose?
It doesn't take a lot of hose either. 1-2 hose at the most. But
couple inches, maybe
you can
inch in diameter.
You get the right hose. You get the right hose in the right spot. You can relieve pressure right where you need it to be. Okay. My point being, almost like a diff breather.
What is your point?
Almost like a diff breather tube. I'm wondering if doing that creates that equalization in pressure so it doesn't have that vacuum effect.
So Big Country actually makes welded truck caps as well in South Africa. We have not imported them to the US, but Big Country makes welded truck caps. And on their truck caps, they have a dust vent, which does exactly what you mentioned, Cody. You open it up, it creates influx of air, and that stops the influx of dust. Some other companies use it in different ways. RSI Smart Cap have the Evo with a little
scoop, the little
entry point scoop at the top. So there's different ways, and they essentially all do the same thing, right? And which is to create a pressure differential eliminator, so to speak. So we will be.
Why are we filtering?
What I'm saying is,
guys?
Cody is correct.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want dust on your shit, dude.
Maybe I do. Maybe it shows that I actually went off roading and I wear it. And
well, we don't have to worry. We don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Everything right now is you can find all of the products that we talked about at Rugged Bound Supply, or the TourTop itself is very by itself at TourTopCovers.com, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And so we are, we don't really want to be direct to customer business. We want to work with partners around the US and ship to installers around the country. So we want people to be able to go to their local truck bed cover shop, their local accessory shop, their local outfitter, and go look at one, look at the demo unit, like a little scale model, and have one available to install. So we are really focused on building a dealership network around the country. We're obviously in early days, but that's why we went to SEMA, right? We went to SEMA to find the right partners to work with, so we can have the product in front of the right people at the right place. But yeah, for the moment today, tourtopcovers.com and ruggedbound.com are the two places where you can buy them.
What other than a couple yuckle heads with microphones talking to you at SEMA, what was the rest of the SEMA experience like? What was the feedback like?
So the for those of the listeners who haven't been to SEMA, it's an amazing experience. It was my first time at SEMA. I didn't know what to expect, but I've been to many large shows before. I was honestly blown away. So it was just absolutely amazing to experience the high octane. You know, it's almost like it's in your veins.
Yeah.
When you get there, there's like this vibration and there's this energy, and there's all these amazing companies who some companies you've never heard of, some companies you've always seen but you've never actually seen their product in real life, and you can see this all at SEMA. So it was an amazing experience to be there. What was very humbling was on the first morning of SEMA, they have the awards ceremony and the kickoff breakfast, right? So the kickoff breakfast happens on the Tuesday, and on a Monday, there's a bunch of judges who judge all the brand new products in a bunch of different categories. So we were entered in the truck, SUV, and van category, and that's a pretty big category. That includes any product for trucks, vans, and SUVs. That's a huge category. We won the runner-up for best new product for 2023 at SEMA with the TourTop, and we were very, very humbled by that award because we knew what we have. We weren't sure if the rest of the world is going to understand what it is that we have. And when you look at the product and you experience it and you open and close it and you look at it, you might not get what the opportunity, what the potential for this thing really is. So all the big names came to our booth on that Tuesday, right? So all the big distributors, a lot of the big manufacturers, some of them who are really competitors and who shouldn't have been in our booth were in our booth surreptitiously or blatantly. Some of them were trying to hide their badges,
Yeah.
and some of them were just like, well, who the heck are you guys and where did this come from? So we purposefully kept low profile all through development because we had to get our IP in place. We had to make sure that we have our ducks in a row. So when we get to SEMA, we really surprise everybody. And I think we achieved that. So that was, we succeeded in a lot of ways, but the feedback has been immense, and it's been amazing. We had a lot of different companies, even from all over the world. Like there were Toyota distributors in Israel and in Japan and in South America who were attending SEMA to look for new products. And all of these guys have Toyota Hiluxes, in their countries, and they wanted to get the TourTop for their countries. And so, just from an international point of view as well, a lot of doors were open for this product through the SEMA experience. And I think there's no show in the world that can do that for you. So if you're not at SEMA, it's almost like you don't exist, within the eyes of the automotive aftermarket community. And so for us to get that award and get that recognition, that was a huge thing. But for me personally, the experience was amazing. I know Ken Block, rest his soul, he was the keynote speaker or the guest of honor at that breakfast. And later we were in the North Hall. For those listeners who don't know, the North Hall is right next to there's like a track where people just do donuts for 5 days.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, they just smoke tires for a week straight.
And the wind was just blowing a certain way. All of that smell of that burnt rubber and octane would just come into our North Hall, and it was just this amazing feeling. And we watched the Ken Block Gymkhana, but what they call it was the Hoonigan. There's a different name for the one he did in Vegas with the electric vehicle or the electric Audi Quattro. That was amazing. So there was just so many things that for me as an auto enthusiast, it was just an amazing experience.
That's very cool, and I do agree with your assessment about like seeing it immediately, you're like, oh, this is cool, this is great. But I feel like as we walked away, I think there was more conversation around, oh, you know what else you could do with that? What if you also did, And I think
Right.
it takes a while for your brain to wrap around the capabilities.
But then you realize you can bolt stuff under it too. So
Yes.
like when you
Yes.
open it, you're like, dude, you can hang your first aid kit, your axe, your shovel,
Yes.
like all
Yeah.
goes under there.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, Jose, you just said something that very important. We haven't even spoken about that. So we've got molly panels coming. We've got gun racks coming. We've got all kinds of cool little things coming. All the accessories. I mean, they're just going to keep on building and building and
Yeah.
building. But you're right. Cody, when you guys walked away and had those epiphanies, we had people in the booth spending 10 minutes looking at a product. They see the Quiet Cat e-bike, the Zargus case, the Max Tracks, they were jerry cans, they were other stuff. And they would look at this thing for 10 minutes, and after 10 minutes, they would ask us, so can you bolt stuff onto this? And it's because that this thing is just so different, right? It's not apparent. It's so obvious, but it's not always apparent. And people have become used to the idea that your bed cover has to either roll or flip back, or fold, or lift up, but it can't hold anything.
Yeah, my exposure to bed covers was company vehicles that had
fiberglass,
a big fiberglass thing that was absolute crap, and you couldn't put anything on it, and it didn't close right. I mean,
Right.
this is a very different experience.
This is a very different product, and so it really gives you everything. If you want functionality and versatility in your bed cover, then this should really be on your list of things to look at. Now, is it the answer for everybody? Of course not, right? There are going to be cases where people would prefer something that rolls. There will be cases where people prefer something that rolls that folds up. And so, this is just going to be one of the options in the market. But we think within the category of people looking for functionality and versatility, in addition to having all the other boxes ticked, the security, the safety, the weatherproofness, all that kind of stuff, we can do those things.
Yeah.
But then we could do so much more.
Yeah. I don't think there's nothing on the market today that's the right solution for everybody. And I don't think that anybody will create.
There never will.
Yeah, there's
either.
never you're not going to be able to create. But what you guys did was to take an existing segment of people that go, I want a truck bed cover, and I'm willing to sacrifice the functionality of carrying a load. And when you don't have to do that, you can have the truck bed cover and still carry as much as you would in your truck bed or on a bed rack.
My
Exactly.
truck came with a bed cover, and I loved that bed cover. But that's all it did.
Yeah.
It was just a bed cover.
You
and
had
that
to
was
build
it.
a rack to carry out
Yeah.
all your other shit.
I had to put a rack above the bed cover to carry the stuff I wanted to cover. Yeah.
Well, what timeline wise, like when do you think additional products are coming out as you guys are rolling this stuff out on the website? Do you have any idea of what that release is going to look like?
Yeah. So right now today we've got the current gen Tundra, which is the new one, the Tacoma, which is the current gen, and the previous gen, so it's back to 2015. We've got the F-150 current gen and previous gen because they're the same bed. So that goes back to, I think, 2015 as well. And that's all short beds, right? And we also have the Ford Ranger and the Gladiator. The next one's coming out will be the Ram and the Silverado 1500s short bed. We're busy with the dry fit testing and prototyping of those right now. So we have a functional version of that here in Houston. We're busy testing them, busy changing some fitment solutions. And so we hope to have them to market on our next shipment, which is going to be arriving in August, late August, early September. So by the end of summer, beginning of fall, we'll have the Ram and the Silverado. And right after that, we'll have work already completed on the Frontiers, and also going back to the previous generation of the Tundra, the F-150, and the Silverado and Ram as well. So a lot of work happening on the actual products. And then on the accessories line, we have the marketing units here for the load bars, for the traction board mounts. We've got already got a lot of inventory on bicycle mounts and universal block mounts for boxes. So they work really well with ammo boxes, like the front runner Wolfpacks work with them, small Zargus boxes work with them. So there's a lot of universal features about those boxes that work. But what we're really keen on doing also is working on the underside. So having set sized MOLLE panels that work for either your side or for your top, or for your top and your side. So you have like a U-shaped MOLLE panel. On the side of your truck, you can stand on the side of your truck and you can actually reach into that, in the front, and you can have something small like a flashlight or something that you would need in a moment's notice, that you would use very often. You can just put it right there. But something I'm very excited about is a rifle case. So, for the last 5 generations in America, trucks have been in one way, shape, or form a rifle case, right? So you would have on the back of your headache rack, you would have hunting rifles or your shotgun or something. This is going back obviously a few generations. And these days, you can't really ride around with your shotgun or your rifle in the back window anymore. But in some parts of the country, you still can, but not definitely in the city.
Yeah.
So, and so we're obviously looking for solutions
California,
yeah, right. So we're obviously looking for solutions for the rifle guys, and so we're working closely with Recoil Magazine to make sure we Recoil Off Grid, sorry, to make sure we design something that's that fits right for their demographic and their readers. And so that was a shameless plug, but I think they're a great magazine and they do a really good job of capturing what overlanders, campers, and survivalists need. But we're working on a gun case that will go on the underside of the TourTop. So if you open the TourTop, there'll be a gun case that'll be at head height, and then you can open it, and obviously that's lockable, that's safe, that's weatherproofed as well. So inside your locked and sealed truck bed cover, you'll have a rifle case that as you open it, it'll pop down and you'll have obviously access to a firearm. You can go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I makes sense, but you know how like Milwaukee, Ryobi, all these tool manufacturers have those interlocking toolboxes now.
Milwaukee.
You went from Milwaukee to Ryobi
because I know that those
one of those two are tool companies. The other one's.
I've made plenty of stuff with my green tools, and I'm super happy with it.
So Cody, the Milwaukee Packout base plate bolts into.
That's where I was going. Product. Like I could. So imagine the Packout. Like you open up your truck bed cover, and you've got your first aid pack out, your kitchen pack out, your recovery pack out, like all of that modular setup underneath the truck bed.
Hold on. I'm gonna retract my last statement where I said the ultimate combo would be the cover and the deck. Now there's a picture on their website that has that slide. Apparently it's coming soon.
Oh, I see.
So you can have the cover with the bed slide.
With the bed slide.
Yes. And so actually at Moore Expo in Missouri, in Springfield, we had the bed slide in the Tundra, and inside on the bed slide we had a fridge, a stove, and a Milwaukee Packout with a radio on top.
That's the picture I'm looking at right now.
It's off
and
of
look, it has my dirt bike helmet right there strapped down.
No, that one's not scuffed up on the side.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So this is exactly what we're talking about. We're trying to collaborate with brands that have found success in products that are made to be universal, and we're wanting to make those products work with our product to make sure that they are truly universal and people can buy with confidence, knowing that they don't have to figure out a way to make these things work together. The TourTop and the Tour Slide are so almost agnostic when it comes to accessories that you could probably either direct bolt something or have a very basic go-between to make it work together.
Yeah. Look, again, I know we've been gushing over this thing all night, but we truly were super excited about this product when we saw it at SEMA, and learning more about it just I think makes me that much more excited about it. So anybody that hasn't already, go to either ruggedbound.com to see all of the cool stuff that we just talked about tonight, or TourTopCovers.com to see specifically the TourTop stuff. and then follow them on Instagram. What's the Instagram handle? It's
It's Rugged Bound is the Instagram, and TourTop covers
okay.
US is on the TourTop handle.
So I really think that as these get more
utilized
and more traction, you're going to see some really cool setups, and it's going to become one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, everybody's got one of those. Right.
Sorry, I'm just now picking up the YouTube.
No worries. Where are you going to any upcoming events or anything? Any of the other expos or anything that people can go see this in person?
Yeah. So can you guys still hear me? Because I think my earbuds are okay. Yeah. So the rig that we sponsored with the For This Land campaign, that will be going from Expo West up to Pacific Northwest, and so they'll be going through the country. So I will be at Pacific Northwest again, and then we have our sights set on really attending a lot of expos next year. So when we have, much more accessories, much more coverage on different models. Mm-hmm. So this year is officially basically the launch year. We have a lot of work to do with marketing. We have a lot of work to do with building out ad copy and marketing copy. We got to really show people what this thing can do. And so you need to show them, photos and videos of different kinds of trucks in different places doing different things. So that's what we're working on right now to help build out the launch year. But next year we will definitely be at all the big shows, for a much more personal experience.
Are you going to go to SEMA again this year?
We won't be going to SEMA again this year. We're going to give SEMA a skip this year. We have so many irons in the fire from SEMA from last year that we think, it's crazy. So we rather focus on fulfilling partnerships, fulfilling deals, and committing, follow through with commitments that we've made from the previous SEMA, than going to the next one this year and taking on more than we can handle, right? There is, we're still a very small brand. Production capacity is limited. And so we've got a lot of things to grow and scale. And so we've really come in and made a splash at the last SEMA. So we're going to give this SEMA, unfortunately, we're going to skip. I will probably be there. So I will be visiting SEMA myself, but we won't be exhibiting.
Okay. Well, let's stay in contact and catch up with you at SEMA, because I'm sure we'll be there. But again, Theo, super great product. I think you guys are doing a great job. I love all of and I love the fact that I got to experience the ostrich wing without knowing it had any connection with you until after the fact. Like Jose and I both talked about how cool that thing was. So all the way around, man, I feel like you guys are doing really good stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing this time next year when you start really hitting the circuit hard with these expos. I'm really looking forward to seeing where TourTop goes and what kind of things you guys have accomplished. So we've been going back and forth for a while trying to get you on the show. I really appreciate your time. Is there anything else you want to tell the listeners before we let you have your night back?
Yeah, so biltong is South African jerky. I want to leave you with that message. All right. So
I bet that is really, really good, dude.
So Cody, thank you so much for having us on. Jose, Casey, Matt, it was very nice to talk to you guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you for spending almost 2 hours with me.
Yeah.
I hope for everyone who's still sticking around and listening, you had a good time and learned something.
I'm sure they did.
But, yeah.
Thanks.
Looking forward to seeing you guys on the trail.
Yeah. And at SEMA. So we'll see you there. Thank you so much, man. You have a great night.
You guys too. Have a good evening. Cheers.
All right. We will stop it there. We're still live streaming, but that's just where we're going to stop the episode for the thing.
You didn't hang up.
You didn't hang up. Good job. Seriously, love the product. Love the product. So as you continue building this and rolling it out, if there's anything that we can do to help with the marketing or promotion or support, let us know. You have an open invite to come back if you got another big launch or product announcement you want to make. Just let us know, and we'll make time for you on the show. I will edit this tomorrow and get it pushed out to the media host. It will be ready for download Thursday morning. I'll send you some social media images that we use to promote the show. Feel free to use them however you want. with the goal of getting the message out. We'll do our promotions usually either Thursday evening or Friday on all the social media platforms to get the word out. But if there's anything that comes up, either before the release or after that we can help with, please do not hesitate to reach out and let us know.
I can drive my Frontier out to Houston whenever you need it.
I'm sure.
I might take you up on that.
I'm sure there's plenty of
I'm going to
gardeners.
feed you biltong. That's the only thing I have to feed you is biltong. Because you live on biltong for a week.
Yeah.
There's plenty of gardeners in Houston, dude. There's plenty of gardeners he can choose from.
So Cody, what generation Ranger do you have? You got the new one?
No, it's the 19. Well, I mean, it's the new current, not the brand new one, but a 2019.
Oh yeah, no, I meant the current, the T9, right?
Yeah.
T9,
T6.
T6.
That was the Terminator.
T9. Good memory. So I might be able to hook you up. Okay, so let's discuss
like the
details.
of the
but
Terminators.
I'm not averse to doing a sponsorship. I know you guys have large sponsors putting in real money. We can talk about what options we have to sponsor you guys with a TourTop.
Okay,
I'll be happy to do it. Sorry, Casey, it won't be with the Frontier just yet.
That's okay.
But that's the one thing. The other thing
we'll talk when I get my Ranger Raptor.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, if you get a Ranger Raptor,
I'm getting one.
beast.
First
Look at how much incentive I have.
I don't
now.
even have a job, and I'm getting a Ranger Raptor.
We're all trying to figure out how we're going to buy our Ranger Raptor.
I'm currently unemployed, and I'm going to figure it out. I will sell kidneys.
So my wife bought the Expedition Timberline. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I swear now?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
You could have been.
You could have sworn this whole time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Even those Explorer
that
Timberlines are super badass.
Amazing vehicle. That thing's engine, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, so much horsepower, it doesn't matter. It's so much. And that's got the high output version of the V6 that everyone else has as well, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know the specs, but it's a lot of torque and power.
Yeah, this Ranger Raptor's going to have more than that.
Yeah, so I was under the suspicion that they're going to stick that engine in the Ranger Raptor because it'll fit and it'll just be ridiculous. Yeah. But it's apparently they're doing a different engine, but
with more power.
It's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah, so I bought my Ranger in January of 2020, and it has, of all the vehicles I've owned, it has been my absolute favorite vehicle, and so. I had put the Bronco on order, and then when they talked about the new Ranger, I canceled the Bronco order because I didn't want to buy that and then not be able to get the Ranger. So I am going to do everything I can. I'm going to sell bodily fluids if I have to get the Ranger Raptor. Nobody wants your bodily fluids. Nobody wants my shit. It's all.
So I mean, I got some kidney problems. Otherwise, I would have gone to one kidney. So I think I'm going to need both my kidneys for as long as I can. I'm not going to get rid of one kidney because I'm going to have to bank on both of them.
Yeah, I'll spare one. I'm good. I'll get rid of it. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll send you an email tomorrow once I get this all put together. And by the way, check on TourTopCovers.com. Check the social links. They go to the old name.
Oh shit! Okay.
So,
I'll get Jason to fix that.
Yeah. There's I think there was a couple links there that didn't quite go where they were supposed to, so just probably worth a once over. Okay, well, man, I appreciate it. I know it's at least an hour later there, 2 hours later there than it is here.
Yeah, shit, guys. I know I'm long-winded, but fuck, 2 hours. Holy shit.
Well, you know what? No, honestly,
you're doing us a favor.
Yeah, no, most of the time the interviews are 45 minutes to an hour, but. We just legitimately wanted to keep talking about the products.
Yeah, it depends on the flow. It just flowed.
It was none of it was boring. It was, I'm super interested in learning about, Rugged Bound and TourTop, and so I think it was worth the time.
You brought out a
lot of
book,
cool
pages and
products.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I will give you guys some background info,
Real quick,
some
we're still
hot
streaming.
breaking, some breaking news.
We're still streaming.
No
Just
one knows.
remember, we're still
we
streaming.
are live.
We are still streaming. So
Oh.
don't say anything.
People are watching.
Yes. So
I didn't know it's still streaming.
Yes, we're still streaming. That's why I stopped you.
That's what I said. We're still streaming.
We're still streaming.
Yeah.
So we
In
can
that
talk
case.
offline about some other things. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk offline.
Just don't release anything now. That's
yes,
gonna get you fired.
Yes, that's funny.
Yeah, no.
I'll send you an email tomorrow with all the information, then you and I can connect and talk about some of that other stuff. And I really do appreciate the time, and we're looking forward to spending some more time with you, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, guys, for having me on. I really appreciate it. It was good.
All right, dude.
Thanks, sir.
Have a good night.
Thanks,
Good
Theo.
night.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, we are still streaming and we are still recording. Are we good? Do we want to just roll into a quick recap? All right, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, Matt.
How's that new car, Matt?
Why don't you guys recap whatever the fuck you guys did in Flagstaff?
No, we'll get to Flagstaff another time.
It's not important.
It is. I think you guys made a lot of
There's pressing matters.
a lot of really good connections.
Oh, we made a ton of connections. We did all kinds of networking. We hobbed and knobbed and bobbed and flobbed.
I want to hear about like
I did a lot of knobbing, but
I want to hear about how many knobs you hobbed.
All of them.
all of them, dude.
Any one we could find.
Go into that. Like,
So-
how was
And
the
Cody had a
weather?
lot of thoughts this weekend.
So yes, I was thinking a lot. Every time Jose and I walked by something
And
interesting,
Jose's jaw hurts.
every time I walked by something interesting, I would say, "You know what I think,
Like,
Jose?"
who sleeps on what side of the bed? If you guys share
we
a
had
room,
Who said we slept?
Two beds in one room. So
I don't know. I got a picture. You guys were both in the same bed.
that's what I remember seeing.
So
But isn't there 2 beds in that room? Yeah.
there was.
Jose had sex eyes.
I don't.
What are those?
I don't know.
look
I've never
like?
seen those. I don't know what those are.
Actually, I've seen
It was
Jose
super
Shark Eyes.
super similar to Shark Eyes.
Shark Eyes.
Only a little more sultry.
Sexy.
Yeah, so
It's
how
like
was
sexy Shark
how was
Eyes.
driving the Ford, Matt? How was driving my Ranger the last 24 hours?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to drive the Ranger.
What are you driving
sincerely.
right now?
I only let you
Just
drive the
for
Ranger.
this?
So for this exact moment,
Okay.
for this.
So what are you
moment.
driving right now? What's outside in the front?
It's a Chevy Traverse 2018.
Oh my God,
It's a Chevy.
those are gigantic
Oh,
piles of shit.
I mean, do we want to go down really?
Let's-
like,
we'll
I kind of feel like I'm pretty dejected. Like, I'm just.
Are you not
Fuck,
having
man.
it? Look, listener,
I-
let me explain. I'll do the quick version for Matt.
Break it down. Break it down.
Matt,
like what you
we
know. what the
had
fuck
we had
happened.
all last week. All of the conversation last week is about what Matt should do. Matt ignored all of us and
Yes.
went and did his own thing and purchased a vehicle. It was a used vehicle. He got a good deal for it. It was in his price range. Great. How
many hours were on that vehicle? Is that how they rate
Yeah,
the hours?
it's like a dirt
Hours,
miles.
like
It's
like a dirt bike.
So
Course miles.
here's the thing for anybody that's purchased a vehicle from a dealership. And Casey, you tell me how you feel about dealerships if you agree, but dealerships fucking suck.
I just don't want to. I don't want to
fucking
go
hate
back through like the gauntlet that I went through
No.
last week.
I'm just-
this is a new
Because
guy.
I'm not into it. This week.
No.
You
I
guys-
know,
you guys-
I know because
You guys can elaborate and expound as much as you want.
He gets a
And I'll
vehicle.
just nod my head.
He
Yep.
gets a vehicle, and it has a couple little things that need to be done.
very minor.
Very minor. Hey, why don't you bring it back on Tuesday?
Only
Great.
2 hours.
To be honest with you, had I known it was this much so problematic,
Yeah,
I would have just
wouldn't even
taken
worth
care.
it.
I would have
Yeah.
taken care of
Yeah.
myself.
And so they were like, "Yeah, come back on Tuesday." Then he gets a text on Monday that says, "Hey, can you be here at 3:30?" He shows up at 3:30, calls me, and says, "Hey, man, I'm going to be down the street from your house. Can you pick me up?" Sure, no problem. I'm unemployed. I got nothing going on. So he gets there, and they say it's going to take a couple hours. He gets there to drop off the vehicle at 3:30, and the service guy's like, "What are you doing here? You're supposed to be here tomorrow." And he's like, "No, look, man, this guy texted me and told me to show up today, and nobody knows if the guy that needs to make the little repair is even there." So it becomes a fiasco. I pick him up at 4.
I'm nodding my head right now.
Yes.
You're nailing this.
I pick him up at 4, and he said, jumps in the truck. I'm on the phone with Casey. I tried to take off before he was even in the truck because I was making an illegal
You
U-turn.
did try to kill me.
Yeah. And so
I figured it was like, well, I mean, I did ask for a ride.
he said, yeah, they just need a couple hours. So I'm going to hang out at your house. So we come back to my house. I made turkey meat burritos and shredded
delicious.
chicken.
I made more of a taco out of your
Yes,
turkey meat, or it was chicken.
Well, I had ground turkey meat and shredded chicken.
Yes, okay.
Turkin.
Both
Delicious.
Came out really good on the Blackstone. Super happy. So it gets to be 6:30, and I'm like, "Have you heard anything about?"
It was 6:30.
And Matt's like, "Let me call," and he calls the dealership, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, I'm trying to get a status on my car. It's at in the service department," and they're like, "No, man, service went home at 6."
That shit's closed.
What the f? Yeah,
Yeah, I know. Okay, that it might be closed, but I'm special. Like,
this guy
they're
said,
working on my car.
So it's 6:30.
I liked your summations
After
better. Please
multiple
continue.
phone calls, it's basically like, yeah, man, service is gone. They're not done. So he's sitting here, and he had to take my truck home because I wasn't going to drive him home and then come back.
Affecting the one person that works in this house.
Yes.
her schedule.
So now
she
I
had
got
planned.
No, she had said she'd already canceled those plans before this happened.
Okay, well, I felt horrible.
No. So Matt takes my truck home, drives my truck to work, and then I'm like, just, hey, you got to come to the house tomorrow anyways. Just come over kind of early. We'll go down and pick up your car. So he gets here like at 3. It's 3:30.
Yeah.
And he's like, he walks in and he's like, yeah, they just need a couple more hours. And I'm like, they only needed 2 hours yesterday, and they still need a couple hours. It's 3:00 the following day.
This is to fix the wrap on a
the steering wheel wrap and a couple scuffs on a wheel.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, they need a couple hours. It gets to be 5:00. We had made a plan of getting on the show early, the 4 of us, to talk about what happened at Expo and some things. And it's 5:00, and I was like, dude, have you heard anything? He calls them at 5:00, and they're like, no, man.
Who's this?
No, man. Not done. Gonna need another
new
day.
phone, who dis?
And I was proud of you because you got up, you walked out of the studio, but we had the window open, and you're like, are you fucking kidding me? Which is exactly what I would have said. So
you have me out to dinner
you
before
have
you
to
fuck
get
me.
nasty with the dealership.
Oh,
or
for
they will-
sure. For sure. So then Jose has to drive Matt down to the dealership to get a rental car.
I'm not renting that fucking thing. It's
No,
a
a loaner. I'm
Yeah.
just saying they gave you a Traverse to drive.
They gave you-
That's because
Here's the shittiest car we have on
Yes.
the lot.
Because they needed to fix a steering wheel wrap, and it takes 3 days. This is now going to be the 3rd day in
This
which
is a special steering wheel, bro.
it must be a super
is not
special
a-
steering wheel.
This is space age stuff. you
Does
know,
it come with like vibrating sensors?
It might. I mean, are we gonna do?
Fucking wrapped in
Can I mention
foreskin.
what I bought?
That's
Or
entirely.
should
up to
I
you.
be embarrassed by it? 'Cause
It's
you guys-
entirely up to you.
That's
Dude.
up to
I
you.
was fucking clowned, like, and roasted. I sent a picture. I don't. Let's not disclose yet. But I would actually like in the chat room because just to validate the douchiness. Apparently, I was very excited on Saturday. It's like, look at the new commuter, and I took like 3 photos. I sent it to like our little group chat.
I was like,
and
fuck
it
off,
was
you didn't
just
buy that.
hammer time. Fuck you, douchebag, dickhead, whatever. And I was like,
Dude, but
I was literally going signing the papers like,
You
this
know,
is
fuck
not
these
what I
guys.
was expecting. I thought like, oh, kudos. Oh, you earned that, Matt, or something.
no.
No.
Everybody that drives one of
No.
those cars is a douchebag.
Have you driven one of those cars?
I've been in one.
Have
The
you
dude-
driven one of
I've
those
been
I've
in
driven
one,
one,
and
and
the guy driving was a
and-
douchebag.
wait, hold. No, okay. That still might be true, but Jose
I've
has
driven one,
it.
and I'll gladly be
was-
labeled a fucking dickhead
Thank you.
douchebag to
Thank you.
fucking drive one of those.
Jose was the
to
only
own
one that was
I-
supportive.
I'm 100% certain. I didn't say anything negative. I'm looking back at the chat.
douchebag.
I don't think I called
Only
you a douchebag.
douchebags.
I didn't.
Drive
Called you
those
lay
cars.
douche-
At the time, I did not say anything.
You said douchebag.
I did not. Where's
The only
Mega
negative
douche.
comment I made was their impact
it-
on the environment.
Oh, I don't give a shit about that. People are driving around diesels that are spewing whatever.
Look, I'm looking at the group text, and
All right,
I
I'll
did
pull
not.
it up.
There's nothing negative from me.
I think the first comment was from me, and I said, sick.
Casey says sick,
yeah, and then I'm
and then
like-
Jose says, "Fuck off! You didn't buy that."
Fuck you.
And then I don't
Everybody
even.
just starts talking about, well, Frontier's up for sale. He's off the fucking show. All
I
that
I
shit.
said
I did change my
I s-
date from when he's
yes.
going to be back on the trail.
Yes, you did.
I
Memorial
said
Day
the only
2025.
all I said was he'll never wheel again.
Yeah.
The Frontier's going up. The Frontier's going up for sale in 2 months.
Yeah, and then
That's-
I said I changed my date from Memorial Day 2024 to Memorial Day 2025.
All blank drivers are douchebags. That's your comment.
Oh shit! I did say that.
God damn it. Fucking directly. That was direct.
Apparently, I said that. Was I drinking? Was I drinking at Expo? No.
Did he have mountain balls?
I had.
Yeah,
no
were you
balls.
drinking Mountain Balls?
Maybe.
Well, whatever. Look,
Jose may have slipped me a roofie in the room. I
So-
don't know.
We were in the mountains, and he did kind of
high altitude.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
my
Balls.
light oxygen. So the next day, I did get to drive this mythical vehicle to work yesterday. Before I
Mark
dropped it
is
off.
very disappointed in you. He doesn't even know what you got.
He's like, you picked the
Damn.
worst option.
So I did in the parking lot, like a couple of the plumbers that I'm chummy with. I'm like, "Hey guys, look at what I'm driving," and like their head dropped and just went, "Fucking yeah." I mean, you're full project manager now, I guess. And you know what? I took that
All
as
field credibility is gone.
I took that as a compliment. Like, thank you.
You
It
could have
seems
you
like
could have
I
worked in the field
ascended.
for 25 years. You
Yeah.
are
I
negative.
did work in the
I
field
know
for
that's what I'm saying.
25 years.
You're negative
Sorry,
experience
I
now.
slammed the table.
You don't
I'm
have any
sorry.
more.
It's
callus
all
on your
gone.
hands,
It's
bro.
all gone.
Yes.
The last little bit of
Whatever.
callus fucking just went away.
Disappeared.
Yep.
Good.
Disappeared.
Good. I was trying to. I bought a Tesla. I bought a Tesla, and I'll tell the story really quick. Monty and I were looking for vehicles after some discussion, and thankfully we were able to borrow Mom and Dad's truck so I could take the Explorer to work last week, which was really nice. It really was. I mean, sitting in traffic, it's a comfortable vehicle. On the highway, it's great. And so that was like very important because I started talking to Monty like, you know what? Why don't you just hang on to your dad's truck and I'll just keep driving the Explorer every day. It's nice.
Yeah.
And then that all of a sudden the imperative to get me a vehicle
Yeah.
was very important that I get something last weekend. So we dropped off the kids went with grandma on Friday night. And so that meant Saturday was let's figure this out. And I had already been pre-approved for a loan through my bank, so it was like,
That's the way to go, by the way.
Try and get as much leverage as you can.
Pre-approved for a loan. You know what your payment is going in.
Go
You're like,
in.
this is what I got.
Yeah, I don't want this. I don't want that. Whatever. It makes it a lot easier. So I had a Tesla 3. I was pre-approved for a Model 3 used. I bought a used Tesla. I'm not buying a brand new Tesla. I don't have that kind of money. Even though they're not as, I don't know, Jose was like, "Oh, you're crazy. You must be, whatever." It wasn't that much out of pocket. I put nothing down. Anyhow, I went to Citrus Ford and they had already sold the one that I was pre-approved. Like, oh, all right, that's a bummer. But then we had a plan. So I test drove a couple other electric vehicles, an Aria that I was going to get. I was pre-approved for a lease, a Kona, and there was something else. And then, checking again because I was like, well, I really want to try a Tesla. Through my bank, you can go through like, hey, here's one over here. Like they already have whether it's a deal with the dealer or however they're identified. There was one at Rock Honda, right by the house. And I did that test drive without Monty, thank God. And I walked back with a huge grin on my face. Like it was like, nope, this is me. This is like it's like a fucking dagger that hauls ass. It's like, it does it all. Like, I don't know. It's thrilling to drive.
Does it do the punch bowl?
it would fucking do the punch pull.
I was thinking. So did you get the 2-motor or the 4-motor?
I don't know. It's just the Model 3.
Yeah, it's probably just a single motor.
It's the standard model or whatever.
Because I wish we would have got the 4-motor because it would rip
it's a
in the
2-motor,
punch
you
bowl.
mean?
Dual
It's
motor.
not. It's not going to the punch bowl. But anyhow, like if you're on the freeway doing 75 and you punch it, it'll pin you in the seat.
Oh,
It pins you in the seat when you want to get pinned in the seat. Like,
they are
it doesn't matter.
amazing. They're amazing
And it's-
machineries.
And again, it's like a really super nice, comfortable go-kart because it's planted, it's low. And like I said, yesterday morning, first day I got to drive it to work. I was getting on the transition from the south 15 to the west 10. And like I could do that look, this is what I do. I'm a fucking asshole. I drive as fast as I can sometimes just to see if I can do it. So if I'm in the frontier, I could do like 70, 75 and the wheels fucking shaking, like, but I did it, like, cause that's how I drive. I'm maybe it's bad, whatever. I did that shit at 80, no fucking problem in that car yesterday. It was like on a rail. And then I hit the throttle even more as I came out and it like a rubber band. I can't describe it. It's like all you can do in your mind is just boom, like just fucking shot out of a cannon. I'm already doing 80, and it just shot out. That's just supremely exhilarating, right? Then, there's a couple of instances where, why is everybody driving so slow? Whatever. And you don't even have to hammer the throttle. You just start slightly pressing on it. And it's like Star Trek or whatever. You start kind of seeing things like moving by you, like you're going to warp. And I passed 3 cars and I looked down at the speedo, 97 miles an hour. Like, holy shit. I was just doing 70 2 seconds ago. Like, so again, yeah, if you want to say it's a douchey car, I'll agree with that. But I guess I'm a douchebag. I guess what I'm saying is,
You've always been a douchebag.
Now your exterior matches your interior.
The first step is admittance, right?
That's it. So as far as the issues with the dealership and
I that's the part I feel bad. Like, I mean, we gave you shit, but just the incompetence and absolute inability to communicate from this dealership has been catastrophic.
It really has been, because again, now
I thought I gave a lesson on dealerships last week.
You did.
And like I said, there was 2 issues. The one issue was like a couple of rims were marred slightly. Like I didn't even notice them, but they did, and they're like, "Oh, we'll take care of that." Okay, cool. And then the one thing that was like pretty obvious was on the top of the steering wheel. It was like Indian burn. Imagine you just kept fucking rubbing on a leather steering wheel. Right, but
tell me more.
But really
Did you
dry.
do an Indian burn?
Yeah, but really dry. So it was peeling away at the top, and it was like, yeah, I mean, if you guys can take care of that, that's fine. So in my mind, we're talking like, I don't know, man, a 2-hour thing? How fucking long can that take?
You didn't think it was going to be a multi-day fucking thing.
Yeah, so that's why I lit up that guy today. Because again,
I should have recorded that.
after yesterday, and it was like, hey man, I'm dropping this off. I don't know what time you're fucking closed. I don't know whether you're doing me a favor. I don't know what the fuck. You just said you would take care of this in 2 or 3 hours. That means I'll be back in 2 or 3 fucking hours because you have my car. I just drove here from work, And so this morning, and Monty had a great idea. She's like, look, that's the other crazy thing is like the range anxiety is like legit because I don't have the car set up for Tesla charging yet. And I don't have the adapter to just plug it in, like, find a universal station or something to plug it in. I have to plug it in at home, which I was able to put in a 220 volt plug and whatever. It charged really fast. I'm happy with that. But now I'm dropping it off at this place. They fucking dropped it off. Oh, Jesus. So on Saturday, they had to detail this fucking thing. It's Aaron Chrysler, Dodge, and fucking Norco. I'll just tell you. I'm really not fucking happy.
I like Norco.
We don't do that. We typically do not. But
No.
I'm that upset about it, so I'm just gonna say fuck. I'm really disappointed with these guys.
Yeah.
I would not buy anything from them if I were you guys. Stay the fuck away from this place.
The dealership just assumes when you pull up to drop your car off that you already know you're fucked and it's going to be a hassle. They wouldn't have come here if they didn't already know that.
To be honest with you, I don't know if it's like they're just inept and they're just not that well organized, or just nobody gives a shit. It's one or the other.
They don't give a shit.
But either way, when I bought the car on Saturday evening, I said, hey, great. We shook hand, I signed the paperwork and the car needed to be detailed. And they're like, hey, we'll just drop it off at your house like at 8:00. Is that cool after we detail it? That's amazing. Yeah, thank you. That's great. And I go, hey, can you just make sure to plug it in? Because when I test drove it, it had like 22% charge. Can you charge it while you're detailing, so that way you're not dropping it off dead? They fucking dropped it off dead. It had a 4% charge. So again, like we can't, it's just disappointing, right? It's 8:00. The guys text me, hey, I'm around the corner. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Me and the kids and Monty are coming out. It's like, come look at the spaceship I just bought. It's coming like a fucking Jetsons mobile, just.
We have 4% charge. We could drive around the block real quick.
Motherfucker, that's exactly what happened. And he comes out and he's all, hey, yeah, so I barely got it here. What do you mean you barely got it here? Well, there's not a lot of charge on it or whatever. Dude, we fucking talked about you were going to fucking plug it in or whatever. But, so again, just so everybody knows, like if you're thinking of buying a Tesla as a used vehicle from somewhere not Tesla, they don't know what that doesn't mean that they
clue.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they know how to speak to the vehicle. That doesn't mean that. So these are all things. Look, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's my fuck up. I don't know if it's fucked up or not. I just know nobody was able to speak to. When I drove the Nissan Aria, that guy broke down everything, every control device. Look at all this cool shit. Like, oh wow, okay, he spoke to it well. When I bought this Tesla, I think I knew more about the Tesla, and I didn't know that much about it than the salesman. So that was very disappointing. And then, dude, you fucking dropped that shit off at my house with just a 110 volt cord to plug it in. I got to go to work on Monday, and it's like, can I drive this on Monday? So I did it, plug it in. And the next day I was able to put in a 220 volt. And thank God Amazon, you could within
same day
by 7 a.m. I had the level 2 cord. So by 3 or 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon, I had it plugged in and it was fully charged by 9 o'clock at night, 4.5 hours. It was fully charged. That's great. So I'm set up for that. But still, dude, these guys dropped it off just dead and just went, meh, kind of like, fuck you. Here's your car, fuckhead. That's like now going through it. That's the impression I get is like
they don't care.
You didn't even give a shit.
No,
you could have figured out how to fucking charge it. Whatever. They didn't.
They don't have to do the dealership. Imagine somebody with a Jeep and traded it in for a Tesla. And then you went and bought a Jeep off of a Tesla lot.
No,
right?
That's what I'm saying.
You'd be like, what kind of lockers is in it? They'd be like, I don't know.
Be aware of that. So I'm not like trashing my car. I've driven it all of half a day, or whatever. And then, as far as like rolling into, the last couple of days and them trying to take care of this, the upholstery or whatever, wrapping a steering wheel, and, so going back to what Monty was saying, okay, so they've had the car now overnight. Make sure you have enough power to get home.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the Tesla. I don't have the car set up to where I can just go to a Tesla charger, and I don't have the adapter for whatever.
You can come back to my house for the third night in a row and plug in here.
Could I plug in here like the 110 volt? That's not. What's that going to get me?
I have no idea.
These are all like things that I'm learning on the fly. I've already bought this fucking car, and I called this guy this morning at 9 o'clock. Hey, guy. I'm not gonna trash the guy. I'll trash that fucking dealership though. And I said, hey, how's it going with the with my Tesla. Oh yeah, we're going to have it taken care of. And I said, look, okay, that's great. Please text me or call me at noon so that I know how things are going. And if you could please make sure to plug it in now. However, whatever means that you can, like, plug it in. I don't know if you're going to leave it on with the air running, because I don't know if that's a thing or not. I don't know if it works that way. You just left the fucking key in it.
Yeah.
It's just a card. But I was very adamant, like, make sure not to just fucking, you fucked me over when you dropped it off with 4%. Don't tell me it's done and now there's 5%. I'm supposed to get up to fucking Fontana from Norco, you know? Because that's how, to be honest with you, how concerned I was that they didn't give a shit. That they did not give a shit.
No,
they had
they literally
forethought.
walked away. They closed up for the night.
The night prior.
Yeah.
They didn't even tell me, like,
you
I need
already
it
signed
tomorrow.
the paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't even tell me, like, you know, hey man, we're gonna need this tomorrow. Like, they gave no forethought to, like, hey man, I need this vehicle. You know, this is a fucking steering wheel, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, dude, if I hadn't known I was gonna have to go through this, hey, fuck off. I'll just put on like a AutoZone fucking wrap. Like, I don't give a shit. It's not that big a deal to me. It's got white teeth. They're gonna look like shit in a month or two, anyhow. But whatever. I don't want to go down that road. But anyhow, when I had to continually call this guy today, and I got no response. You know, I got ghosted at 2:00 because I told him, please call me at noon. I didn't get a call or a text at noon. He didn't answer the phone at 2. And okay, well, I started driving home. At 3:00, I called him. He did answer. Oh, I need a couple more hours. And I knew right there, like, this is not going to go well. It's just not going to go well. Got here, Jose shows up, whatever, and that's when the flames, you know, everything went up in flames, because I called him at 5. Oh, we're going to need it tomorrow. And it's like, fuck, man. If you'd have told me at 9, when the last time I spoke to you, that you need it for another day, I could have made arrangements. I could have done something. I would have still cussed you out. I'd have still said, like, what the fuck, man? But, you know, to get ignored and just not be put on, like, that
priority. It's like
as a priority.
Yeah, you don't matter. You've already signed the paperwork. You don't matter now.
So again, in my mind, it's like, well, you know, fuck you guys. Again, I went off on them for about 10 minutes and just said, what are you going to do? I have to go to work. What the fuck are you going to do? Come down here and get a car. And so the Jose dropped me down there, and I saw him there, and I said, dude, you know, I'm just trying to get to work. You know, I in a calm manner, you know, reiterated all the things. Like, if you'd just told me at noon or whatever, like, this wouldn't have been a big scenario. I wouldn't have been here, but I still would have been upset.
Yeah.
It's the fact that I was ignored, and I had to keep reaching out to you for these updates.
What did he say?
He started blaming the vendor being like not a renegade, but, oh, you don't know this guy. I mean, he does amazing work, but if I tell him he'll just tell me to fuck off or whatever. And
that's not your problem.
That really isn't my problem. He started blaming the vendor.
He didn't take ownership.
100%, and that's what I made a point of saying.
Dude.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, can you stop
I'm sorry.
hitting the table?
I'm sorry.
Matt, the last 2 weeks have just beat the shit out of the table for out of anger.
I got heavy hands, I guess.
Out of
It's not
anger.
that bad.
Those aren't worker hands anymore. Dude.
No,
You drive a
yeah,
Tesla.
that's true.
You're gonna break your nail.
So, whatever. When he set up the vehicle arrangement, and I had to sign out for a loaner or whatever, I gotta go, and he took off like all pouty. And I just don't give a shit, you know. Accountability.
Yeah, that's again.
And I told him, dude, I deal with fucking more vendors. Tell me about fucking vendors.
Yeah. You're herding cats every day.
Yeah, with a bat. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to hear it. It's accountability. You gotta step and go, you know what? I should have asked this guy, you know, whatever. I should have been, because again, I went out of my way because I knew that things were getting sketchy or whatever. Please just be out front, just be forward. And he wasn't. And so, at the end of the day, I have this loaner car. I'm going to go fucking drive to work tomorrow. And I'm going to press this guy a couple of times. And then I'm 50-50. I'm really, he said that like the upholstery or whatever, the steering wheel's been fixed and it just needs to dry and set up and then some final things or whatever. That's what needs to be done tomorrow.
Elon Musk has to,
But either way, dude, this is now the third time you've had to drive to that dealership for a car that you own. This is now the third day
for a fucking steering wheel. What is the time? What is my time worth? What is their time worth? They just gave me a loaner vehicle, for fuck's sake. I should go rob a goddamn bank or drive the thing off a fucking cliff. Again, it's just over a steering wheel, like a steering wheel cover, So it really is. I'm tired. To be honest with you, I'm just tired. I'm pretty worked. I've been worked up for a few days now.
Rightfully so.
And it's exhausting. And I know you guys, when you were telling me about the Volvo and the issues that you guys were having, and I just thought, I don't know if I could deal with that. And you know what? I can't. I fucking can't. And thankfully, it's not over yet.
Yeah.
But it's not like a 6-week span. But still, it's like the ineptitude, fuck, man. Just do you care about your job? Your job is to to service your customers or whatever and make sure they're happy. Or you trying that
man needs to be serviced, okay?
Yeah,
very well.
And
it sounds like, especially after this week,
at all.
I am sorry that you've had that experience because, to your point, Tammy and I dealt with it for 2.5 months, and I know what that's like.
I thought you were talking about last night tonight. You had to deal with me being over here, but I do. Thank you guys.
You are welcome to come hang out anytime you want.
Thank you, and I enjoyed driving the Ranger today. It is different. That thing's got a lot of as far as the drivetrain is concerned, it handles the extra weight. Yeah. But you feel it when you're at speed turning or whatever. Yeah. That thing is
Yeah, and I've noticed that we talked about this a little bit. I need to put a couple more pounds of air in the back tires on these tires versus the last tires we had. The last tires we had were stiffer.
Well, they're F rated.
Yeah. Nah, the Rhodians were F.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
So so there's a little bit more wobble on if you get off on this.
I see.
Yeah,
okay.
and I noticed it on the way home from Flagstaff. I need to put another couple pounds of pressure in there. Well, look, dude, we've been giving you a hard time the last couple of days just because it's fun. But you're obviously not having fun, and it sucks to buy a vehicle and then have to be in the situation where you don't have the vehicle. And so that sucks. Those people suck, and I'm sorry that you have to deal with it.
I guess the last thing, again, I would like to reiterate, if you're going to buy a used Tesla, understand that you're going to be, if you're not maybe Jose, I can tag Jose in and give me some training, but I got very little. Literally, it seems like a spaceship, it's just super technical.
To be fair,
that's what that's what I said. I said I've seen Matt try to log into a computer. There's no fucking way he's going to be able to drive a Tesla.
To be fair, when my brother-in-law bought his brand new from Tesla, they just okay, here are your keys. It's parked right over there.
Same thing. Oh wow.
When he went to go pick it up, you're like, well, what the fuck? You're not gonna show me how the fuck this thing works?
So like I said, I had it on that Sunday because I had charged it on the 110 volt, in my garage overnight. So I had 30%, and I felt like a total douchebag because I went to Home Depot in a Tesla to buy my breakers and the switch and some cable or whatever. I'm like, holy shit, I'm that guy.
Oh, you are that guy.
I've become that guy.
That was pushing the Home Depot cart with a dolly on it.
Did you wear loafers with no socks when you were there?
Pleated pants,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, tucked in t-shirt.
Oh no, I don't have that stuff yet. Maybe I'll obtain
phase
that.
2.
Yeah,
it's like my Land Cruiser attire.
Yes,
you have a Tesla tire now.
Yeah.
Well, I have years to move my way into that Tesla attire.
I don't know. I think with the Tesla, you
That's day one,
immediately
dude.
get access to
Yeah.
all outfits.
That's that.
Well, I mean,
one.
I wear khakis and polos like every day, right?
Yeah, but now
That's-
you're gonna be wearing
The Land Cruiser, he has to have time to earn outfits. The Tesla, you automatically have
It's
access to all
automatic.
Yeah,
outfits.
you're day
Yeah.
one.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
But there was like I just really quick, just tooling around town. I went through like 10% of the battery, like just fucking around. Like I probably drove 10 miles total.
At
They
100
were-
miles an hour.
Yeah, they were like at full throttle like every time because it was like yay, wee, whatever. But there was that concern, even though it was fully charged Sunday night. All right, I got like 200 miles to get to work and back.
But that's the thing.
Is that enough? Like, is that
That's the thing. Like, you're always gonna be thinking about that.
Well,
That's why you gotta
every day.
You gotta
No,
always
once.
be charging, dude.
Well, yeah,
You gotta
like I
charge
have.
always
ABC.
be charging.
You gotta,
Shy's offering a course on the Tesla.
I told you,
yeah.
I just saw that. He's gonna come to your house and teach you how to use it.
Let's do it, Chai.
Joey
You can
D
bring,
has
bring
one
the
too.
kids over. We'll jump in the pool. It'll be a fun time. We'll barbecue.
Joey
It'll
D
be
has a
fun.
Tesla also.
oh yeah, Joey D has a Tesla. Drive his, dude.
See?
His is the fast one.
Let me get used to the one I have now.
Yeah.
It's already stupid
You're gonna
fast.
take like an extra fucking blood thinner pill
Yeah.
to drive the fast one, dude.
Well, let's just wait and see if he gets it back ever, before we decide what he's gonna do with it.
It better be an amazing steering wheel.
Yes.
It's gonna be a different color.
It better have like.
It's gonna be white to match the rest of it.
It's gonna be a different color. Casey's like, oh man, oh.
I don't like Casey these
There's
days.
all-
Every day, in the last 2 weeks, Casey's just been fucking killing me.
Dude,
Oh man.
what if he goes back and they didn't even do anything?
They didn't touch it today. I guarantee they forgot that it was there. That's why the glue needed to dry.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Dude, I fucking lit him up. I'm all, dude, when I called you at 9 o'clock, I guarantee you that motherfucker wasn't at the upholstery shop, And, he had no answer for that.
And yeah, when Matt's like, well, it's at the upholstery shop. Where's the upholstery shop? Cerritos? Like, do
Yeah.
you like how much
and now it's
electricity?
dead.
Yeah, how much
Yeah.
electricity did they use?
So, anyhow, Aaron Chrysler, whatever, in Norco.
It was shit when it was browning, and it sounds like it's just even worse.
I'm really not happy with you guys, and I mean to use this podcast to put you in the fucking hemisphere where I'm just gonna trash you on a regular basis. And I don't know if it matters or not, but that's how pissed off I
They're
am.
close enough. They're close enough.
Shy,
to
that's a
hem
whole
it.
nother issue.
Shy, that would be fantastic.
They're
if
definitely Hemet adjacent.
Shy, that would be fantastic. So Shy says you can use the app to see where the car is.
that's a whole nother issue.
However,
I don't have
he-
full ownership of the car
vehicle
yet.
Tesla doesn't recognize it as Matt's car yet. It's still registered to the other owner. So Matt,
Because I
can't
haven't had the car since
I know. I'm
Sunday.
not
Like,
yelling at you.
fuck.
I'm explaining to
Hold
Shy.
on, this is where I beat the table, but I'm not.
Yeah. So Tesla, as far as Tesla's concerned, it's still Bob Hassenpfeffer's car, and it's not
Jack
Matt's.
Mehoff.
Jack Mehoff.
Jack
Jack
Mehoff.
Mehoff's car.
Mike McDbag is still owner of the Tesla, so that's why he can't take it to any of the Tesla chargers. He can't look on the app to see where it's at. As far as he's concerned, they could be.
Is it my car?
They could be Ferris Buellering that shit right now.
I did not.
Dirty Mike and the boys are fucking running that thing right now.
I did not put any money
You better-
down.
You
Is
should have checked the fucking hours on the car before you dropped it back off at the dealership.
He's in a coat-covered Tesla.
Hey,
now.
once again, Casey, thanks for your input. It's already fucking, it's like over now. I'm an innocent rube that's just willing to be grifted by any dealer all the fucking time, apparently.
Well, that sucks, Matt. Sucks to be you. More now than usual, and hopefully
It's still nice. Like it's black.
Oh, it's super nice.
The white interior is very striking and looks
Yeah.
great
yeah.
right now.
In somebody else's lot.
It's gonna be 10 like in 3 months.
Yeah.
dude.
It was tan on Saturday. I thought, oh, that's not so bad. It's like tan interior. And then they cleaned it. And it was like bright white all of a sudden. Like, oh, okay.
We will hopefully he gets it back tomorrow, and we don't have to have any more conversations about this vehicle. But if there is more updates, we'll let you know. Everybody else in the chat room has been pitching in with their thoughts, and
Flagstaff was fun. That's for next
we will talk about Flagstaff next week. It was an
I would
amazing...
rather have talked about that this week.
Yeah, but it's not as time sensitive as your catastrophe.
It's 9:10 right now.
I know. So, all right, everybody in the chat room, thank you for making fun of Matt with us, and we appreciate it, and we will talk to you guys next week.